Hello everyone, the Army of Otters here. Welcome to part 2 of 3 hours of random Fallout New Vegas locations. The first part was pretty successful. I was pretty happy with how it turned out and the response from people. So here is part 2. Now I wanted to make a quick note that in my wrecked Highwayman video, there was actually a copyright claim for the music that displays in the ambience of that location. So the audio might be a little bit weird for a section of that video, and I do apologize. If you want to see the original, of course, please click the link in the description. But besides that, please sit back, relax, and enjoy 3 hours of random Fallout New Vegas locations. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Unexplored Mojave. Today we're going to be looking at Snyder Prospector Camp. This is a very small camp located to the east of Brockflower Cave and south of Novak, as you can see it here on the map. It's also just north of Camp Searchlight, almost right between Novak and Camp Searchlight. Now, there isn't a whole lot here, but you can kind of tell that this camp has been lived in. You have empty Sunset Sarsaparilla bottles, a fresh apple, some dirty water, a bed, and then next to the bed, you can also find a Star Sunset Sarsaparilla bottle cap. So that's all for this camp, really. It's pretty small and just a marked location to help you fast travel. However, if we go a little bit further out, we can find some interesting things along the highway. We have some billboards, like advertising cars, and we also have a lot of crashed cars nearby. So I'm not sure why there were so many crashed cars here, but maybe these people died when the bombs fell. We have a turned over truck. We have another billboard up there, again advertising the same car. And then down here, this truck crashed into the billboard. So I just thought it was a little bit interesting, and the environment here is pretty cool. But that is all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any recommendations for the next location, please post them in the comments section below. And until next time. Hello everyone, the Army of Otters here, and welcome back to the Unexplored Mojave. Today we're going to be checking out the wrecked Highwayman. This was recommended to me by FOZAZ Cards 11. This is a really cool location in Fallout New Vegas, which serves kind of as an Easter egg. But as you make your way to Novak along the highway, you will notice a car is slowly sinking into what appears to be like quicksand or some kind of pond. And then it's an actual location. There you can see it along the highway. Surrounding it are some boat flies, which are pretty easy to take out. As you approach the wrecked Highwayman, you can see its trunk, and there's going to be some loot in the trunk. Now, this vehicle serves as a reference to the Highwayman driven by the Chosen One from Fallout 2. Originally, this was going to be used in the Van Buren Fallout game, or Fallout, the original Fallout 3, which was canceled before Fallout was sold to Bethesda, but Obsidian included it in Fallout New Vegas. So in the back, you will find some stim packs, some scrap, a Star Sunset Sarsaparilla bottle cap, and some microfusion cells and energy cells. Inside the locker, you can find random loot. Unfortunately for me, there was nothing inside of it, but sometimes you can find ammunition and caps and stuff like that. And one more interesting bit of information is that when you visit the wrecked Highwayman, the soundtrack Gold Slouch, which is an ambient music track for Fallout 2, plays. This music track normally plays when the Chosen One visits Redding in Fallout 2, and then in Fallout New Vegas, it plays when you visit the wrecked Highwayman. Now, I've seen some debate online whether this wrecked Highwayman belonged to the Chosen One, but I think that seems like it is unlikely, and that it is more likely that this is just simply an Easter egg and a wrecked Highwayman that is unrelated to the Chosen One. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section below. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any recommendations for the next video, please post them below. Until next time. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Unexplored Mojave, the Army of Otters here. Today we're looking at Callville Bay, which was recommended to me by Josh1312. Josh gave me a ton of recommendations, so I really appreciate it. Callville Bay is right next to the crashed B-29 bomber. Actually, if you teleport there or fast travel there, you will actually spawn near Callville Bay. So I just thought this police car was really interesting. I don't know of many police cars in Fallout New Vegas. I know there's also one at the Mojave outpost, but besides that, I don't know of very many, so I just thought it was a really cool sight. And then as you saw, there was a crashed tugboat, or a sinking tugboat, along with a generator that is making noise, or what I think is a generator making some kind of noise. And of course, this place is inhabited by cazadores, so make sure to bring some good weapons. I have found that flame weapons do work particularly well against cazadores, so thank you to everyone who recommended and who has been helping me fight these damned creatures. And here we can see the Captain Dean Boat and Bait. It's a rental shop that also sells fishing equipment and ice cream, so just kind of interesting. And then over here we have an abandoned truck, and inside this like boat hangar, I'm not sure what to call a boat hangar, but there's a lot of boats. You have like rowboats and then what appear to be motorized boats. And obviously the cazador nest are in here as well. So clearly been abandoned for some time. I do wonder if these boats would work though, because obviously they might be useful in Lake Mead. And then you can climb to the top of this structure, but there's really nothing up here, so it's kind of pointless, but you can probably get some good views of the Mojave. Also, I really like these trucks. I've mentioned them a couple of times before, but I just love these trucks in Fallout New Vegas. Then going in Captain Dean's Boat Rentals and Bait, we will find some rats, so make sure to kill them pretty easy. And then you're going to find a toy car that says take, and if you try to take it, you cannot take it. But you can pick it up, and then you get this message, good, now push right stick again to let go of the skull. Now this is a reference to a skull in Doc Mitchell's house that just says take, but you cannot take it. So, kind of funny Easter egg in the game. And also like this skull here, you cannot take, but you can pick it up. But there's no message for that one. Over here we have some bobbleheads, like the hula dancers. And then we have some Sunset Sarsaparilla star bottle caps and a lot more bottle caps. But there's not a whole bunch of loot inside this place besides for bottle caps and some pre-war money and a medical supply box. And if you go behind the cash register, you will find a safe that is average lock. And if you open up the safe, you'll just find some more bottle caps and pre-war money. So really nothing that great, but, you know, not bad. And then if you go back towards the cash register, on the wall next to it, there's a board that says boat rentals, and it has keys hanging from it. Obviously, these are the keys for the boats that people used to rent before the Great War. So just kind of a cool detail that was added. So something that I thought was interesting was we have a train track that ends here at Callville Bay. However, I looked online at the real life Callville Bay and I couldn't find any train tracks, and I was wondering why a train track would end here. So if you guys have any ideas, please let me know in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any recommendations for the next location, please post them in the comment section below. Until next time.
Will you perhaps explore Knoll?
Knoll? What is this? Huh, it must be nothing. I don't know what that person's talking about. Venturing into the unforgiving expanse of the Mojave wasteland, every shadow conceals a lurking threat, and the sun-scorched landscape is a graveyard of forgotten hopes. As you navigate the treacherous terrain teeming with mutated monstrosities, each step you take echoes with the whispers of the past. The Mojave Wasteland is not just a desolate stretch of land, it is a haunted battlefield where the line between life and death blurs.
UVB-68 signal found?
Russian number stations? I am so confused. However, the biggest horror in the Mojave might not be anything within the playable area. Instead, the out-of-bounds section may offer the biggest horrors.
Okay, Dr. Bosch. Gone too soon.
About 1 year ago, a YouTuber by the name of Dr. Bosch started uploading videos of Fallout New Vegas. Now, the first video seemed pretty innocent. It was just detailing a glitch to get outside of the map. But as Dr. Bosch continues further outside of the map, he enters a liminal space hellscape. Now, of course, this is not real. It's an AGR, a kind of like creepypasta. If you've ever seen something like Been Drowned from Majora's Mask, then you already have an idea of what it's like. And this series is actually pretty good, so I highly recommend checking out another video if you really want to see more about this series of Dr. Bosch. Now, for this video, since I've had a lot of comments referencing that series in my Unexplored Mojave, I decided to go ahead and trace some of Dr. Bosch's footsteps. So the first place I wanted to check out were these ruins outside the Mojave outpost. In Dr. Bosch's video, he jumps up here and talks about parkour, and you can do the same thing in the vanilla game, but there is not really anything up there. So we continued down the highway to see where it leads us. Now, I did want to say something about liminal spaces. What are they? Liminal spaces are often empty and eerie transitional places like abandoned malls, deserted hallways, vacant parking lots, etc., and they evoke a deep and unsettling fear. This fear stems from their uncanny nature, where familiar settings become disturbingly unfamiliar, which strip away our sense of safety and normalcy. In these kind of in-between spaces, the boundaries of reality blur, triggering our primal anxieties and creating a sense of being caught kind of between worlds, where anything could happen and nothing feels right. And so video games, especially places in video games where we are not supposed to be, can evoke a deep and unsettling fear. And this is about where Bosch would discover his first anomaly, with the weird antenna protruding out of the ground, but as you can see, obviously it's not here, and we can see the Mojave outpost in the distance. Our next stop is the abandoned house, which Bosch found. So this was my best guess as to where the house was that Bosch found, somewhere in this area, but as you can see, there is no house here, of course, but just very empty and a little bit spooky with all of the ambient sound that plays. So our next goal was to go to the north, where Bosch went for the next location. This is where he found UVB signal 68. And this was a very long kind of trek, but I made it not too long. And then we found the area where there was like a barrel and burning fire, along with where he found the hut. And this is where things in the video, to me at least, started getting really creepy because of the voices on the UVB 68. But as you can see, there is nothing here. So from here on out, I'm going to stop following Bosch just because there's nothing out here. So I'm going to actually highlight some places that are kind of interesting outside of the explorable game. So as you approach the canyon wreckage, which takes you to the Lonesome Road DLC, you're going to find this huge valley in between all of these mountains. So I just thought it looked really pretty and quite majestic, and it's just an area that I didn't anticipate to find. So I thought it was interesting that they built up all of these mountains around it, and then there's just a flat valley. But over to the right, you can see the canyon wreckage. So as you approach the canyon wreckage, you're going to notice this radio tower, which is actually floating, but of course you're not supposed to see that much detail. You're just supposed to see it sticking up out of the ground. And over here we have a crashed bus, and I tried to go inside the bus, and my character got permanently stuck. And I couldn't get out, so the best way to deal with this was a mini nuke. So if you ever decide to explore outside the map, just make sure to save a lot, because you never know what kind of weird glitch or issue you're going to run into. So as we approach the canyon wreckage, we just see a lot of debris, and you can go inside this silo, but there's nothing inside of it. But if you approach the door for the Lonesome Road for the canyon wreckage, you're going to notice it's going to actually teleport you to the other side of the map, which I thought was kind of weird, and this is something that Chungus had mentioned in a previous video. And there we go, it just teleported me right on the other side, and I'm not sure why it does that. So after this, I reloaded the save, and I continued my way north, and eventually I found this lone bush, and I was really puzzled because you hardly ever, if ever, see vegetation way out here. So I found this lone bush, and I decided to highlight it because I just thought it was kind of weird and creepy, given, we're talking about liminal spaces, and this bush is just sitting here. I don't know what purpose it has. So over by Red Rock Canyon, you're going to find the secret passage from Red Rock Canyon towards Jacobstown. This is a place I already covered in a previous video, actually 2 videos, but you can see it from out of bounds pretty well, and you can see how they designed it pretty well. So just kind of interesting. And after a lot of struggling, I was able to climb Mount Charleston near Jacobstown and get to one of the top peaks, and you can get a really good view of Jacobstown from the top. So I just thought it was pretty cool, because normally you cannot go all the way to the top. It stops you just below. So pretty cool. So our next stop was the Highway 95 boundary. I kind of covered this location in my video Where Did the Nukes Fall in Fallout New Vegas, as this is the location of a nuclear detonation, most likely. And there's really not much there, but you can just see the wreckage from the other side. So our next location was the Zeta alien spacecraft. This only spawns if you have the Wild Wasteland perk, and I did a previous video on this location, just the Zeta aliens, unexplored Mojave. And as Ian Boykin pointed out in that video, this UFO is supposedly from the wreckage in Fallout 3, and it even has the same shattered canopy and stuff, which is pretty interesting. Obviously, Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 3 shared a lot of the same assets, right? I mean, Obsidian was in a real rush to make this game, so they didn't really recreate many assets, so it makes sense. So after checking out the UFO, I decided to start heading north, and I started traveling along this ridge, and to my east you can see Nellis Air Force Base. And the reason I was going up here is Chungus recommended that there's a weird, slightly lower platform on the north central edge of the map, which overlooks an endless ocean, so I was determined to find that. So thank you for the recommendation, Chungus. Also, I wanted to see the end of the highway here because this is the same road which starts at the Mojave outpost, so I wanted to travel from one end to the other. And then here is the end of Interstate 15, or at least the other end of it. So at the beginning of the video, we saw the ending near Mojave outpost, and here is the ending on the northern part of the map. However, the texture here has no hit detection, so you just phase through the texture. So it's kind of interesting they brought it out this far. The only reasoning I could think of is they want to make sure from at least Nellis Air Force Base, it looks like the road goes on for forever. So after a lot of traveling, I found this depression or valley on the edge of the map where everything sinks down into the ground. And then I found the square lowered platform that Chungus was talking about. So really interesting, and there was some speculation about what use this platform might serve within the game. And in the comments, Gelatin Coffee suggested that maybe it has something to do with the Honest Hearts DLC, or perhaps it's a place for dead bodies to be deposited. However, I don't really know myself, so if you have any theories about what function this platform serves, please leave them in the comment section below. Now, this is a pretty significant fall, so if you come here, make sure that you're healed and that you have some way to repair your limbs. After falling on the platform, though, you're pretty much stuck here. There's no way to get back up, And if you go to the next ledge, you find an endless ocean. And you can jump into the ocean, but it's actually irradiated at +1 rad per second. So you will not be able to survive in the ocean for any significant amount of time. And I tried to swim for a long time in this ocean, but it just was literally endless. And I tried to go as far as it would let me. Here is me jumping into the endless ocean, and I went for a long time until it eventually killed me. And I can say there is absolutely nothing. And I turned away to say goodbye to the land, because eventually the land even disappeared. But there's nothing out here, just endless ocean. And here it is on the map, since I didn't really show it earlier. But yeah, you will not get anywhere. Now maybe using mods or console commands you could find some kind of end, but as far as I'm aware, it's endless. And there's where I finally died from radiation poisoning. Alright guys, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. This is the 50th episode of the Unexplored Mojave. So to everybody who's been watching and supporting this series, thank you so much. Honestly, when I started this series, I didn't anticipate it to do this well, and I look forward to continuing this series in Fallout New Vegas, the DLC, and possibly other Fallout games. Again, I really appreciate everything you guys have done to support this channel, all of the recommendations. My success is our success, so thank you so much. And I found this really cool mountain to end the video on with a very beautiful view of the Mojave Wasteland. Also, as always, if you have recommendations, please put them in the comments section below. I read through all of the comments, I'm listening to you guys. If you recommend a place and I don't get to it right away, I apologize. But please know I have a list of places to make videos about, and I will get there eventually. Again, thank you so much, and until next time. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Unexplored Mojave, Army of Otters here. Today we're going to be looking at Prospector's Den. This is located just north of Nipton and east of Prim. This was recommended to me by Josh1312 and Wesley Gossett, so thank you both for recommending this really cool location. So, the first time you go to Prospector's Den, you're going to encounter Jackal gang members, but since I already been here and killed all of the Jackals, it's now inhabited by prospectors and NCR prospectors. Also, there's a merchant in here once the prospectors return, so pretty cool that the environment changes depending on the player's actions. This place is very reminiscent of Little Lamplight from Fallout 3, using some of the same decor and assets from Little Lamplight, but this is of course a lot smaller, but it has a really cool and peaceful atmosphere. And then behind the structure here, you will find the generator, which is probably producing the electricity for everything inside. Upon entering it, you will find some prospectors, again, assuming you've killed the Jackal gang members. However, there is a copy of Tumblers Today in here, which is pretty darn good. That will increase your lockpicking skill by 3 points permanently, and that's why I came here in the first place. However, none of the NPCs in here, the NCR prospectors, offer any additional dialogue besides just the generic Fallout New Vegas dialogue. But it's still pretty cool that this place ends up becoming inhabited by actual prospectors once you've killed all the Jackal gang members. But overall, the atmosphere in this place is pretty darn cool, and early game, this is probably a pretty good place to stop by because Jackal gang members are pretty easy to deal with, so you can get some good XP and get a copy of Tumblers Today. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I truly do appreciate it. If you have any recommendations for the next video, please post them in the comments section below. Until next time. Hello everyone, the Army of Otters here, and welcome back to the Unexplored Mojave. Today we're going to be checking out the Scorpion Burrow. This is recommended to me by Chungus666, so thank you so much for this recommendation. This is just east of Crescent Canyon West. Now, I'll be honest, I actually had no knowledge of this location. This is an unmarked location in the Mojave Wasteland, so this was a new experience for me, which was pretty cool. As you approach the burrow, you're going to discover a lot of rad scorpions. However, I actually filmed going here once before, but I forgot to record, and during that time, the rad scorpions were fighting the Night Stalkers, and actually the Night Stalkers won. But this time there were no Night Stalkers, and I had to kill all of the rad scorpions by myself. So the entrance to the burrow is just this little hole in the ground, and once you go inside, you're going to find this dead wastelander at the beginning. However, he does not have much loot on him besides a few bottle caps. So as we make our way into the cave, you're going to notice that it snakes down into a big central chamber where there's going to be a lot of rad scorpions. And also featured in here is the Rad Scorpion Queen, but she was pretty easy to take out because of a sneak attack by the anti-material rifle. Now, the Rad Scorpions themselves are not too difficult, but I do imagine on a new playthrough that the Queen would be quite challenging, so I don't know if this would be a good place to visit in early game. And also, there's just not that great of loot in here, unfortunately. You have a lot of dead Wastelanders, but they mostly just have bottle caps and maybe like frag grenades on them. And I do find it interesting why there's so many dead people inside the burrow. Maybe they were killed outside and dragged in here by the scorpions, which would be pretty freaking scary. And then there's also dead Jackal gang members, and they have some caps and ammo on them, but not a whole lot. Overall, this is a pretty cool, unmarked location within the Mojave Wasteland, and I'm glad it was recommended to me. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any recommendations for the next video, please post them below. Until next time. Hello everyone, the Army of Otters here, and welcome back to the Unexplored Mojave. Today we're going to be looking at Quarry Junction. This was kind of recommended to me by Josh1312. He said maybe it's not so unexplored, but I figured a lot of players might try to not go here during their playthrough. It's very dangerous, very difficult, and definitely something that you could easily miss. So, as you probably know, Quarry Junction is just northeast of Goodsprings next to Sloan. It serves as a barrier to prevent the player from going straight from Goodsprings to New Vegas. There's a young Deathclaw by this tractor here, and you can kill him pretty easily. And then there's a warning sign for Deathclaws. Upon entering, there's 2 Deathclaws up on this cliff, and I was using the anti-material rifle with explosive rounds, and it was really effective. Now, this place is pretty difficult because the Alpha Deathclaw and the Deathclaw Mother have boosted stats. They have 3 to 4 times as much health and 3 to 4 times as much speed as a normal Deathclaw. So it's a pretty severe challenge for the player. So if you come here, make sure to bring some good weapons and armor to help you. In the middle here, you have these conveyor belts to gather the limestone here. It's probably a limestone mine because in real life, this quarry is based on the Sloan Limestone Quarry. So it's a real location in real life, just the name is changed in Fallout New Vegas to Quarry Junction. However, you cannot get on top of the building, which is quite disappointing because it would serve as an excellent sniping nest. And I don't know what that Deathclaw was doing, but he was like doing push-ups or sleeping or something. But using the anti-material rifle was really overpowered. This place was so much easier than I had remembered it. And in fact, I would say that Deadwind Cavern or Deathclaw Promontory are significantly harder. After killing that Deathclaw, I got startled a bit by that explosion. I just wasn't ready for it. Then after this, I found another Deathclaw and he spotted me and I missed a lot of shots and then I hurt myself. And then this is where things started to fall apart on this attempt because after that the Deathclaw Alpha male spotted me and he was very angry and yeah, I didn't stand a chance at close range combat against him. But eventually I was able to sneak around and you can see the Alpha in the bottom left along with the Mother in the right side surrounded by her Deathclaw babies. So for this situation, it was going to require some heavy firepower, so I opted for a fat man with a big kid mini nuke. and it almost killed the mother, but she's actually survived the initial explosion, but with very low health, and she was crippled. So one more mini nuke and easy peasy. I probably could have done it just with an anti-material rifle, but the big kid mini nukes are actually only about 500 caps, so they're not that expensive. Then I used this on the Deathclaw, and this Deathclaw started walking on water. So ladies and gentlemen, I think we finally found Deathclaw Jesus from Deathclaw Promontory. He has risen at Quarry Junction. And then the other Deathclaw just decided to accept his fate and let me kill him. After that, I had cleared out all of the Deathclaws from Quarry Junction. Honestly, it was much easier than I anticipated it to be, but maybe it's because of my experience from Deathclaw Promontory and Deadwind Cavern. Now, since I used the mini nuke, a lot of the loot here kind of got thrown around, but there is a light machine gun, a lot of 5.56 ammo, and a mini nuke, which I couldn't find even though it was right in front of me. But there's the mini nuke, which normal mini nukes are actually kind of rare in Fallout New Vegas, so it's a good find. However, you can buy the special mini nukes at the gun runners, and there's also a super stim pack. And then if you come over to the southernmost pond, we can find another Fat Man. This is the third Fat Man we found in this series, the other one being at Cottonwood Cove Crater, and in the secret pass from Redwood Canyon to Jacobstown. In the pond is a mini nuke. It can be a little bit difficult to see, but it's definitely in there. So we can get 2 mini nukes out of Quarry Junction. Over here we have some tanks, and these are the same tanks that were used at the Searchlight Airport. And I asked in my video what they were, and maybe they're water tanks. That is what somebody at least speculated on that video. But unfortunately, Quarry Junction is a bit empty. You cannot go inside any of these mining buildings, and there's some invisible walls. I also wanted to point out that if you go to the very top of the back area, you'll find the Great Khans and the Great Khan encampment up here. They're part of the Great Khan's quest line, and they will also give you the quest, Don't Make a Beggar of Me. So, kind of cool, and they're hanging out in a very dangerous place. They're having a meetup for some chemicals, which is interesting. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any recommendations for the next video, please leave them in the comments section below. Until next time. Hello everyone, the Army of Otters here, and welcome back to the Unexplored Mojave. Today we're going to be looking at the followers of the Apocalypse Safehouse. This location is just northwest of the New Vegas Strip, kind of by Ruby Hill Mine. Now obviously the safe houses are subject to your playthrough. If you're friendly with the faction, you can get inside. Alex Non 8712 recommended that I do the Legion safe house, but I decided I would start covering all of the safe houses. So the followers of the Apocalypse safe house is really good. You have some really good loot inside, you have some skill enhancement magazines, you have some Radaway, some good weapons, and you also have the unique all-purpose science suit, which is one of the best suits in the game as far as weight to damage resistance output. As far as safe houses go, this is one of my favorite. It just feels very homely, and it has a lot of really great loot. And apparently on the Xbox 360 version of the game, sometimes the loot will respawn, so you can actually get 2 copies of like the science suit and stuff like that. So, pretty cool. However, do not store any of your loot or your items in here because it will reset after a few days. Over here on this nightstand, we have a copy of the DC Journal of Eternal Medicine, which will raise your medicine skill. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any recommendations for the next video, please post them in the comment section below. Until next time. The Army of Otters here, and welcome back to the Unexplored Mojave. Today we're going to be looking at the train tunnel near Nellis Air Force Base. This is recommended to me by Serb4446 and Godfrey Morals. So thank you both for recommending this. This train tunnel is located just south of Nellis Air Force Base, and then on the other side it comes out near the Brotherhood of Steel Safehouse and Raul's shack. Pretty interesting location. Unfortunately, the door is a very hard lock, so you're going to need 100 lockpick to get in. So it's kind of like a secret tunnel or secret passage connecting these two areas.
Secret tunnel through the mountains. Secret tunnel. Yeah.
Upon entering, you're going to see a ton of trash and like scrap. And inside this tunnel, there's going to be a lot of mines, as you can see there. So be careful when you come here. However, I was wearing my Remnant's power armor, and I find the mines didn't do too much damage to me. So if you're higher level with 100 lockpick, it might not be that difficult. Inside, there are a lot of ghouls, glowing ones, and normal as well. So something I never realized is you can actually use this train tunnel to get to the boomers without going through their bombardment. So during the main quest, right, you must visit the boomers and either get their support or kill their leaders. And you can avoid the bombardment by going through this train tunnel. However, like I said many times, you need a 100 lockpick. And usually when you visit the boomers, it is more in the early game of New Vegas. So many players will not have 100 lockpick, but it is a pretty cool feature and a cool idea that you can avoid that altogether. Now, obviously, this train tunnel is just a kind of copy from the assets used in Fallout 3's mini train tunnels when Bethesda recreated the Washington, D.C. metro system. So, in the middle of the train tunnel, you have this room, and then you have a lot of, like, scrap and loot, and you also have some bobby pins, which is always pretty good. But there's not really a lot in here. However, there is a construction hat, which is kind of unique, so that can be a good find if you're interested in it. And if we go back outside, there is a dead ghoul that is not Pharaoh, it's a dead wastelander, and on him he has a fire helmet, which is kind of unique because the only other place you can get fire helmets is in the fire station in Camp Searchlight. So kind of interesting finds for hats in this train tunnel. And one more thing I wanted to mention is this train tunnel actually passes right beside the giant crater next to Nellis Air Force Base. So I wonder if originally there's going to be more put in over here, like if this was going to be connected to that crater somehow, or if there's no connection whatsoever. But it's just something interesting that I noticed when looking at the map. Now, when exiting this tunnel, you want to be careful because sometimes the death claws from Gypsum Train Yard will make their way over here, as you can see. And I was ready for them though, so I could use the anti-material rifle to take them out. But there can sometimes be a lot. As you can see, this one here kind of snuck up on me. So as I said earlier, you can use this train tunnel to get to Nellis Air Force Base safely. However, you have to put an asterisk by that because you have to go through death claws and you have to pick a 100 level lockpick. And as I was trying to get my scenic shot, I got attacked by more death claws and I almost died. This death claw here was tough as nails. But thankfully I was safe in this tucked away corner. And one more thing I wanted to mention is that there was originally going to be a Nellis train tunnel key that could open the door here. However, it was cut from the final game, so I wonder if Obsidian had bigger plans for this train tunnel, especially for newer players, you know, having to go to Nellis, but they just didn't have time to finish that part of the game. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any recommendations for the next video, please post them in the comment section below. Until next time. Hello everyone, the Army of Otters here, and welcome back to the Unexplored Mojave. Today we're going to be looking at the Brotherhood of Steel Safehouse. This is one of 4 safe houses in Fallout New Vegas, and I previously covered the Follower Safe House. This safe house is located kind of near the Bitter Springs, and on the other side of Nellis Air Force Base, next to the train tunnel. Now, in order to gain access to this safe house, you need to have a liked reputation with the Brotherhood of Steel, and you need to have completed the quest, Still in the Dark. Now in this playthrough, I am no longer friendly with the Brotherhood of Steel because I'm siding with Mr. House, and Mr. House requires you to destroy the Brotherhood of Steel. However, I was friendly with them for a time in order to get the power armor training, and when I entered the safe house, the Paladin Sato was inside, and he was angry at me, but he just said, hey, and then he disappeared. So I don't know if that's a glitch related to me being enemies with the Brotherhood of Steel now, or what happened exactly. And in the basement, we'll find a workbench, a reloading bench, and a lot of armor, ammo, and weapons. And that includes recon armor, T-51B power armor, T-45D power armor, a Tesla cannon, a minigun, a Gatling laser, a missile launcher. And all of these are in poor or medium condition, but obviously these are pretty good weapons and a pretty good find, and you can use these to repair weapons you already have or just have them repaired somewhere else. And perhaps the best thing about the Brotherhood of Steel safe house, besides the aesthetic, is the fact that you can use this as player housing. All of the containers inside are safe for player storage. None of your stuff will despawn, so that's really good. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any recommendations for the next video, please post them in the comment section below. Until next time. Hello everyone, the Army of Otters here, and welcome back to the Unexplored Mojave. Today we're going to be looking at Bloodborne Cave. This is recommended to me by several people. The Real Coffee, HQ, PQ, 7PE, and Blackfoot 27. So thank all of you for recommending this location. It was a really good location to explore, and not a place I had a lot of familiarity with. Anyway, it is located in the northeastern part of the map, just northwest of Bitter Springs, and to the east of the Brotherhood of Steel bunker. Now, before entering the cave, I decided to go further up this hill to see what was up here, and I found some fire geckos. And I just wanted to say, this part of the map is very beautiful. If you watched my Bitter Springs video, you would know I'm a big fan of this part of the map. It's just very beautiful, and then we had the moonlight, so just very picturesque Fallout New Vegas. But, like I said, there's really not a whole lot up here. However, you do get a very beautiful view of New Vegas off in the distance, especially at nighttime. It looks quite immaculate. Upon entering the cave, you will be greeted with a fork in the road. You can either go left or you can go straight. I chose to go straight, which I think is probably the best decision, mainly because it's the fastest path to all the loot. So you're greeted with this first room, however there is nothing in here, it is just empty. I tried to go behind this rock, but it is blocked off, so there's really nothing in this first chamber. Upon entering this next hallway, I found a very hard locked gate. Now you can actually find a key for it later in the cave, but I decided to go ahead and open it, and I stepped over a tripwire. So after getting blown to absolute smithereens, I found the grenades above me, and I was able to actually jump up and to disable the grenade bouquet. Now this explosion actually kind of scared me, so after this I was paranoid. There were more grenades above me, but I didn't see any. But just for safety, I decided to disable the tripwire. And once the coast is clear, I was able to go inside and start getting some of the loot. You have some 12.7 rounds and a submachine gun, but I already have one, so I didn't take this one. And then there's the first aid box, which had a couple of stim packs for me, and then you have the trunk, which is an average lock. There is no key for it, so you must have 50 lockpick. And then, damn, look at all of those caps. Now I know why you guys recommended this place. After finding that huge haul of caps, I could have easily walked out of here, gone home, and been happy. But this is the Unexplored Mojave, so I can't do that. We gotta explore. Diving further into the cave, you're going to find some Night Stalkers. There are a ton of Night Stalkers, so be prepared to fight them. Me and this LMG made quick work of them, and it was fairly easy. And as you dive deeper into the cave, you're going to encounter dead bodies, which adds an element of horror and creepiness to this cave. Eventually, you're going to hit this main chamber, which has a ton of Night Stalkers, along with the legendary Night Stalker. Once you kill the legendary Night Stalker, though, and the rest of the stragglers, you're actually pretty much finished with all the enemies in here. However, the enemies can respawn, and they can respawn in very large numbers after 3 days. So be aware if you ever come back. Then in this room you can find the key for the very hard locked gate, along with a campfire and some chairs surrounding it, along with some skeletons. So we get a kind of sad scene here. We have some ammunition and some guns and some aluminum cans, and then we have the body of a child over here. So it's kind of sad, dark scene, along with some toys that assumingly belong to the child. And then in the final chamber, you're going to find an empty room with a dead NCR trooper, but nothing really in here. And there's an overlook above you, and the overlook is from the entrance of the cave. Remember, there was that fork? Well, if you go left at the beginning, this is where it takes you to. So you can actually head straight to the campfire from the entrance. But Bloodborne Cave was a ton of fun to explore, and it had some incredible loot. So thank you guys so much for recommending it. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and if you have any recommendations for the next video, please post them below. Until next time. Hello everyone, the Army of Otters here, and welcome back to the unexplored Mojave. Today we're going to be looking at Cottonwood Overlook. This was recommended to me by Wesley Gossett. So this location, as the name would imply, is overlooking Cottonwood Cove. On the top of this mountain or hill, you're going to find several abandoned vacation homes. However, they are all boarded up, so you cannot go inside. Now, there's hardly any loot. Even these dumpsters are empty, or at least they were for me. But you have some picnic tables and some tires. So, as the name would imply, this location is near Cottonwood Cove. As you are approaching Cottonwood Cove from Camp Searchlight, you just want to go right at the fork in the road. So, pretty easy to get to once you get past Camp Searchlight. Now, this location is very important for the quest, An Eye for an Eye. So, during that quest, Sergeant Astor will ask you to kill all of the Legion in Cottonwood Cove. Now this could be a difficult task, but the truck located in Cottonwood Overlook has a lot of radioactive material that you can dump into Cottonwood Cove. But it's a very scenic area. You have some incredible views of the Colorado River, and you also have this like trailer or camping trailer and a picnic table, which is something I thought was really peaceful and really calming. So since the most unique thing here is the quest, An Eye for an Eye, I figured I'd go ahead and highlight the truck. So as you approach the truck, you'll notice you get some rads from it, and then if you open the trailer door, you will dump it all on the Cottonwood Cove. And, you know, the Legionaries will immediately turn hostile, even if you're hidden. Now, I do want to point out, normally that door is locked. It's supposed to be an average lock. However, for whatever reason, there's a glitch where sometimes it is not locked. And then this Legionary really surprised me. I have no idea how he got up here, but then I sent him flying. So that was kind of a funny animation. I don't know why he just flew so high. But anti-material rifle, explosive rounds, so easy. Now I came down to Cottonwood Cove and I found this shack. However, there's nothing inside besides just a bunch of junk. And another thing I noticed is after deploying the radioactive waste, the Legion members here became a lot easier to kill. And then if you go to the office of Aurelius of Phoenix, he will just die or be dead inside, again, after deploying the radioactive waste. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any recommendations for the next video, please post them in the comment section below. Until next time. Hello everyone, the Army of Otters here, and welcome back to the unexplored Mojave. Today we're going to be looking at the Smith Mesa Prospector Camp. This is a location kind of near Cottonwood Cove, and it is tucked away inside of the cliff here. So it's a pretty cool location, and it's just south of Cottonwood Cove and east of Camp Searchlight. However, this camp is pretty small, but there is a furry companion in here, a prospector's dog. However, there's no sign of his owner, so maybe his owner died or was killed by the Legion nearby, which would be quite sad. But like I just said, this one is quite small, this prospector camp, but I think it has a really cool aesthetic, and it just feels really cozy, and with the dog, it just feels amazing. On top of that cinder block behind the radio, there's a Star Sunset Sarsaparilla bottle cap along with an ammunition crate. But besides that, there's not a whole lot here. However, this place can still be used for player housing, which is pretty good. All of the containers here are safe to store your items in, so really good. And you also get the bonus of having a dog here that feels like he is helping to protect your new home, so really cool. And like so many other locations in Fallout New Vegas, Smith Mesa Prospector Camp is in the same location as the real-world Smith Mesa Road, but there's no prospector facility here in real life. Alright everyone, thank you so much for watching. I truly do appreciate it. If you have any recommendations for the next video, please post them in the comment section below. Until next time. Man, the Mojave Wasteland can just be so beautiful sometimes, and the glow of New Vegas is always so immaculate to me. I love this game so much. Hello guys, Army of Otters here, and welcome back to the Unexplored Mojave. Today we're going to be looking at the NCR Ranger Safehouse. So as you make your way to the Safehouse, you have to be careful if you're vilified by the NCR or Caesar's Legion, because this is an area where you can get ambushed by assassins. So if you are vilified, be careful. And I was reading on the wiki that coming from RepCon HQ is one of the best ways to get here as far as safety is concerned. Now, as you approach the safe house, it kind of looks like a vault door, right, from the Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas vaults. However, it is not a vault, obviously. It is the safe house for the NCR Rangers. And it is located near Black Mountain, just south of RepCon HQ. In order to gain access to this safe house, or in other words, in order to get the key, you need to have a liked or higher reputation with the NCR, and then talk to Colonel James Hugh, who is located at Camp McCarran. Now, this place has a similar atmosphere to the Prospector's Den, and like Prospector's Den, it borrows assets from Fallout 3's Little Lamplight. Upon entering, you're going to find a lot of armor and ammunition on these shelves. However, a lot of it is in poor or medium condition. Despite that, there's still some pretty good finds in here, and this is my preferred method of getting the Ranger helmet, which is one of my favorite pieces of armor in all of Fallout. So in here you can get the NCR Ranger combat armor, the NCR salvage power armor, NCR Ranger patrol armor, a Ranger hat, a Ranger helmet, and a salvage power helmet. But despite that, there's not a whole lot else in here, and unfortunately you cannot store your weapons and loot in here because Ranger Gomez will periodically stop by and he can take your stuff, which is not good at all. And I find that to be quite unfortunate because, like I said before, I actually really like this place and it's probably my favorite safe house as far as aesthetic in Fallout New Vegas. And in this very back room there isn't anything besides a couple of generators and an empty shelf. So that is the NCR Ranger Safehouse. Now, one thing I did want to mention is that this asset is literally used from Little Lamplight, because if you have console commands, you can actually look at the back of the building and it says Little Lamplight on it, which I think is quite funny. But if you're not on PC and don't have console commands, you cannot do that. I got that picture from the wiki, so just an interesting bit of information. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you have any recommendations for the next video, please post them in the comment section below. Till next time. Hello everyone, the Army of Otters here, and welcome back to the Unexplored Mojave. Today we're going to be looking at Lake Las Vegas and Camp Golf. So I was kind of exploring this area on my own, and I thought it might be a good idea for a video. There's a lot of interesting things around here that could be easily missed, so let's dive into it. First, we have Lake Las Vegas, and in this lake you're going to find some golf carts. So as the name implies, Camp Golf, this used to be a golf course. And in real life, Lake Las Vegas is real, and there are golf courses and nice houses surrounding it. So clearly the developers did their research and they tried to recreate this area as faithfully as possible. I think it's funny that all of these golf carts are at the bottom of this lake though, wondering why. Now, this pipe here connects to the NCR sharecropper farms. Now, something interesting is in the Fallout universe, this lake was created by the NCR. They dammed it off from Lake Mead. But in real life, this was created, obviously, in our world, today's world. But for whatever reason, in the Fallout universe, this lake was not created, and it was just attached to Lake Mead. So some differences in our universes. Next to Lake Mead, though, we have this like camping ground with some picnic tables and a magazine, Lad's Life, but I had difficulty getting it because the camper is a bit small. If you don't know the location, here it is, Lake Las Vegas. It's kind of by the I-88 trading post and southeast of New Vegas. Now, going to Camp Golf, you have all of these tents situated on the former golf course, and you can tell it's a bit greener than other parts left over from the golfing days. Here we have the mess hall, which is just a giant tent with a lot of chairs and tables for the soldiers to eat. Now, if you come here, you can complete the quest, Flags of Our Foul-Ups. This is a quest where you have to help the Misfits, a group of soldiers at Camp Golf who have a very bad reputation. They're very lazy, so you have to help get them in shape, or you can help them manipulate the records to indicate they are good soldiers. Up to you. And the reason I say that is the Misfits actually have their own special tents. Also, outside this tent is a flagpole, which I thought was interesting. It's lasted a long time. Anyway, if you go in the Misfits tent, you'll notice it's a complete mess. And the other soldiers' tents, however, are very organized and very clean. So you can see a huge difference between the behavior and cleanliness of normal NCR soldiers and Misfits. And over here we have like the main tent where we have Sergeant McCready and then the communications people just doing their work. Here we have some skill magazines, but you cannot take them without stealing them, which is kind of sucky. Then making our way towards the house resort, you have some more golf carts that are utterly destroyed. And then you can get a pretty good view of Camp Golf. And there's also a golf cart up here for some reason. And then over here we can see the house resort, and this was owned by Mr. House, right, in the Lucky 38. This was his resort and his golf course, so some interesting information. Now, House Resort is actually a copy of the Jacobstown Resort. They're very identical, and a lot of the rooms are copy and paste. Inside the kitchen we have a lot of good stuff, but again, it's stealing to take any of it, including the Nuka-Cola quartz. Over here we just have some propaganda pictures that I thought were pretty cool. And then in this opposite room we have a storage area and a portrait of Mr. House. Now this is not confirmed, but he's standing in front of a robot, so many people speculate that this robot was Liberty Prime, or at the very least a prototype of Liberty Prime. And of course Liberty Prime is the giant robot from Fallout 3. Mr. House's company, Robco, did play a part in developing Liberty Prime, so it would make sense for Mr. House to have this portrait. Now this portrait is also based on a portrait of Howard Hughes. So Mr. House's character is based on Howard Hughes, who was an American aerospace engineer, and you can see this picture of Hughes in front of an airplane is very reminiscent of House's portrait. Now, also in this room, as I mentioned before, it's kind of a storage room for the NCR. You're going to find a ton of ammunition boxes, but unfortunately, it's stealing to take any of it. Now, in this back area behind the front desk, you can find Hanlon's office, and inside you can find a key card that is the Lucky 38 VIP key card. This key card will grant you access to Mr. House's chamber. So if you wanted to kill Mr. House in the very early game, you would want to come here first, get the key card, and you can access Mr. House's chamber. And as you can see now, we're on the second floor, and there's a lot of hotel or bedrooms up here that are occupied by NCR Rangers, and a lot of these rooms are just copy and paste from Jacobstown, which I already did a video on. However, there's one more very interesting thing here. If you go to the balcony, we can talk to Chief Hanlon, who I mentioned earlier, right, his office, and he has some very interesting dialogue.
Back west, you don't see too many of these. Lakes, I mean. Natural or man-made. Any kind, really. We neglected the dams or pumped all the water out a long time ago. Owens, Isabella, the San Luis. Drained the aquifers of everything they had. Just a lot of mud and dust now. It's a different feeling watching the sun come up over the water. Takes some getting used to. But if you're here long enough, it starts to seem normal. That's what a ranger's life is now, looking east. You must be the courier folks have been talking about. Word on the radio is that someone wronged you back in Goodsprings.
And the reason I highlighted this conversation with Chief Hanlon is in the Fallout TV show, as I showed a clip from, you can see the effects of the NCR and the local communities in creating this desert, these sand dunes. Now, of course, that part of California, Southern California, is very arid, even in our world. But obviously in the Fallout universe, you have the atomic apocalypse and the mismanagement of the communities also playing a role, and we see those effects in the Fallout TV show, so pretty cool. And the last thing I wanted to check out was this pipe. As I mentioned in the beginning of the video, this pipe goes all the way to the NCR Sharecropper Farms. So here's Camp Goff, here's the NCR Sharecropper Farms. So is it possible to follow the entire pipe all the way to the farms? That's what I wanted to know. Now, upon walking with this pipe, I noticed there's lots of leaks on this pipe, so, the NCR might want to look into that. But here we get this really weird section of the pipe where it kind of goes over the road. Now, as far as I know, this pipe was built by the NCR, right? They made Lake Las Vegas, so I don't know why they would make that section over the road like that. Obviously, in the Fallout universe, we don't really see cars use that often, and I've never seen a truck being used, but hey, maybe the NCR does have some trucks. Anyways, the pipe leads to the East Pump Station, where we can start the quest, Hard Luck Blues, which involves you going to Vault 34 to fix the radiation leak, which is poisoning the crops. Now, over here by Durable Dan's sacked caravan, the pipe ends next to these two bridges, and then here's the sacked caravan. And there's a little bit section of the pipe sticking out over here, but after this, it is gone. It disappears, so I don't know where it goes from here, but obviously the pipe really does connect to the Sharecropper Farms, so pretty cool attention to detail on the part of Obsidian. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. This was a bit longer because we were investigating a very kind of large place. As always, if you have recommendations for the next video, please post them in the comments section below. Until next time. Hello everyone, the Army of Otters here, and welcome back to the Unexplored Mojave. Today we're going to be looking at Jimmy's Well, which was recommended to me by Wesley Gossett. This location requires you to have Rex, and if you take him to the northeast part of the map and talk to him, he will give you some interesting dialogue. And upon clicking on the choice, did somebody fall into a well, you will get this location, Jimmy's Well. Now, as you may have noticed, you have to have Wild Wasteland for this to spawn. Now, if you come here without Rex, the well will simply not be here. So having Rex is a requirement. And here's the location of the well. It's on the northeast part of the map, near Nellis Air Force Base. And then we can go inside, and there is a lone mole rat down here, which Rex kills, and then we can get a hat and a BB gun, and there's also the skeleton of a young child, implying that this is probably Jimmy. Now, this BB rifle is unique. It's called the Abilene Kid LE BB gun, and it actually does a fair amount of damage, and there's also a stim pack down here. So as you can see here on these schematics, I use the BB gun, and it's pretty hilarious because we can kill them with one shot, which is pretty damn incredible if you ask me. But besides that, there's not a whole lot in this well, but if you do want this unique BB gun, you can actually still get it without the Wild Wasteland perk. Next to Jimmy's well is another marked location called Field's Shack. And if we go inside this, then we can discover the unique BB gun. But there's not a whole lot in this shack. So some interesting information. As you might know, this is a Easter egg towards the old television show Lassie. Now also there's a similar situation in Fallout 2. If you go to Modoc, a boy named Johnny is missing, and his dog will indicate to the Chosen One that he should look in the town well, and after climbing down the well you can find Johnny's BB gun. So just some interesting bits of information and some interesting connections that this well has to other media and other Fallout games. And there is a Sunset Sarsaparilla Star bottle cap in the refrigerator, so not bad. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have any recommendations for the next episode or next video, please let me know in the comment section below. Till next time. Hello everyone, the Army of Otters here, and welcome back to the Unexplored Mojave. Today we're going to be looking at the Legion Safehouse. This was recommended to me by Alex Non8712, who recommended me I visit the Legion Safehouse, and he kind of started these last 4 videos where I visited safe houses. Now, the Legion Safehouse is probably the most difficult to achieve for most players, because most players are not idolized by the Legion. In order to get the Safehouse key, you have to have a light reputation with the Legion, and then you can speak to Lucius, who's inside Caesar's tent, and he will give you the key for the Safehouse. Outside of the Safehouse, we have like a campfire and some benches, and the Safehouse looks pretty small on the outside, just a small house, kind of like the houses you see in Nipton. And then if we go inside, you'll see this man sometimes, Veteran Atticus, who can give you stealth boys or skill magazines, so that's pretty darn good.
I can offer you some supplies while you're here. I have some goods collected during...
And he will give you 2 stealth boys, or you can choose skill magazines or cat eye, so pretty darn good. Inside this front room we have a couch and a television and then a coffee table, and then down in the basement is where we can find all of the good loot. But of course my favorite thing is the fact that the Legion has a toy dinosaur sitting on the shelf in the basement, which I thought was kind of funny. And then inside you can get a variety of armor, including the Legion Centurion armor, the Centurion helmet, a chainsaw, the Legion Vexillarius armor, the Vexillarius helmet, a sniper rifle, lucky shades, the Legion Praetorian armor, the Displacer glove, and then of course all of the items from Veteran Atticus. And pardon my pronunciation if I didn't say anything correctly. Here we can see the Legion Centurion armor, which is pretty cool looking if I do say so myself. And then we have the Legion Praetorian armor and the Lucky Shades. The Lucky Shades give you +1 luck, which is pretty good. And then the armor is more standard looking, but it still looks pretty cool. And then we have the Vexillarius armor set, and this armor set might be my favorite out of all of them. I just really like the helmet, and then you have the Legion emblem on your back, which I think is pretty darn cool. And I do want to apologize to Alex, who recommended this video, for taking so long to make it, because in both of my playthroughs, I do not have a good enough reputation with the Legion to access this safe house. So I had to start a new playthrough. Now, something I did learn during this is that if you have, like, say, Dark Hero or Good-Natured Rascal reputation with a faction, that's not good enough to get a safe house key. So you have to be liked or higher. You cannot have any kind of mixed reputation. Now, of course, after you get the safe house key, you can do whatever you want. For example, in my main playthrough, I got the Brotherhood of Steel key, and then I blew up the Brotherhood of Steel, but I can still access their safe house. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any recommendations for the next video, please post them below. Until next time. Hello everyone, the Army of Otters here. Welcome back to the Unexplored Mojave. Today we're going to be looking at Mole Rat Ranch. This was a place I really completely forgot about if I didn't even know it existed. So Mole Rat Ranch is literally right next to the New Vegas Clinic, and if you come here you're going to find a crazed Brahmin and a bunch of dead mole rats. And it's just kind of a weird scene, and the Brahmin, which are normally friendly, will try to kill you. He will attack you, and upon killing him you'll get 1 XP. So we just have a really weird crime scene. And then here's the location of Mole Rat Ranch. It's literally right next to New Vegas Clinic. I came over to this building and I was just trying to go through this window, but I got stuck in the window and I couldn't escape. So the window literally snatched me, and then I had to teleport or fast travel back to the ranch. I was trying to get to this building to the northeast of the ranch, which has a ton of traps inside of it. As you can see, it's just to the east. So there's a lot of landmines and then a trip wire, and I disabled all of it. And inside here we have a hard locked door, which if you unlock, you can get access to a sniper rifle, some 308 ammo, and some skill magazines, along with some health items. So pretty good. So I really wanted to get to the bottom of where that Brahmin came from and why it killed those mole rats. So after getting these health items, I went to the north and I found this like abandoned farm. This is kind of next to Field's Shack or Jimmy's Well, which I did a previous video on. And at this farm, we can find a few more crazed Brahmin along with a trough filled with some kind of meat. So the implication here is that somebody has been feeding Brahmin some kind of meat, and the Brahmin have taken a liking to meat. Now above the trough we can find a bunch of flies, which I just thought were kind of funny, and this fly was just going around in circles. But obviously somebody's been feeding the meat, and the meat has made the Brahmin crazy. They've developed a liking for the meat, so that one Brahmin in the Mole Rat Ranch probably traveled over there in search of meat and killed the mole rats in order to eat them. Thank you so much for watching the Unexplored Mojave. If you have any recommendations for the next video, please leave them in the comment section below. Until next time. Hello everyone, the Army of Otters here, and welcome back to the Unexplored Mojave. Today we're going to be looking at Raul's shack, and one thing I recommend doing before visiting is to get Raul as a companion, and then to dismiss him. Now when you dismiss a companion, you can tell them to go to the Lucky 38, or you can just say goodbye, and they'll go back to like their original location. But since we rescue Raul, he will go to a different location, which he will mark on your map, called Raul's shack, his house. Also, I just wanted to point out real quick that when you come here, you might want to be a bit careful because sometimes there can be death claws, especially if you're coming from the east. Now, if you're coming from the west, I don't think you'll have any problems at all. And these death claws are from Gypsum Train Yard. Here's the location of Raul's shack. As you can see, it's directly south of Nellis Air Force Base and west of the Brotherhood of Steel bunker. So as you approach the shack, Raul's shack, you're going to notice a broken down car and a Brahmin. Now since Raul has a lot of connections to the old world, or the pre-war world, I would like to imagine this car belongs to him. Also outside you'll notice that there's a malnourished calf, which I assume is because Raul has been missing, right? He was captured by Tabitha. Upon going inside, we can find a very dirty shack, and it looks like Raul was picking something up and then he caused an earthquake. But there's just a lot of junk in here, and there's a workbench. And this workbench is important because in here, Raul can fix your weapons and equipment, which is pretty cool. It's something I didn't realize until recently.
You got the caps, I got the skills.
But I thought that was pretty cool and something I never realized before. Now, Raul has to be in his shack in order to have the interaction. He cannot repair things in the Lucky 38, which is unfortunate. However, on the flip side of it, though, Raul has a repair skill of 100, so he can fix everything to top condition, which is really good. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any recommendations for the next location, please post them in the comment section below. Until next time. Right at the entrance, there's this abandoned building, which I thought was kind of cool. But Red Rocks Canyon is where the Great Khans live. Man, did I really eat my words there. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Unexplored Mojave, the Army of Otters here. And today we're going to be looking at the Great Khan Armory, which is found in that abandoned building. This area was recommended to me by the Fallout Fan Hub 4934, Will Run for Fun, and Wesley Go Set. Thank you guys for recommending it and bringing my attention to this location. So let's dive into it. So at the entrance of Red Rock Canyon, you're going to notice an abandoned building, and as you approach the abandoned building, you can find a hatch leading to a basement. This hatch will lead you to the Great Khan Armory. Now, in order to buy weapons from this vendor, you need to have an accepted or high reputation with the Great Khans. However, it is definitely worth it because this is arguably the best armory in the game, even better than the gun runners. Possibly, depends on your weapon preference. So if you talk to this girl, the Great Khan Armorer, you can buy weapons from her and ammo. Now, she doesn't have many weapons, but oh my god, does she have ammo. So much ammo. And for me, the big thing she had was the 50 caliber MG rounds for the anti-material rifle. As you guys probably have noticed, the anti-material rifle is my favorite gun in Fallout New Vegas. Now, I decided to go ahead and buy every single ammo that she had to see how much it would cost me, because she has so much ammo for almost every type of gun. The one thing I noticed that was missing, though, was she does not have mini nukes. So if you need mini nukes, the gun runners is probably your best solution. Also, there was a lack of missiles, so if you use a missile launcher, probably want to go the gun runners. But at the end, it costed me over 100,000 caps for all of the ammunition that she had to offer, with almost all of those caps going to the high explosive rockets, which she had a plethora of. Now, that part of the armory behind the cage is normally locked. However, she will typically unlock it for you, and then you could steal some of their ammunition. So, thank you guys so much for watching. What do you guys think? Is this the best weapons vendor in all of Fallout New Vegas? Let me know in the comment section below. And also, if you have any recommendations for the next video, please post them in the comment section below. Until next time. Hello everyone, the Army of Otters here, and welcome back to the Unexplored Mojave. Today we're going to be looking at the legendary Lucky 38 Resort and Casino. This was recommended to me by Benson151, so thank you for the recommendation. Now I know what you might be thinking. Unexplored Mojave, the Lucky 38 is a symbol of the Mojave. However, the Lucky 38 kind of operates as a place for the main quest, right? You just go in there and you kind of ignore a lot of the other stuff. So in this video, I want to explore the areas of the Lucky 38 that players typically overlook. And as we enter the Lucky 38, we are greeted with the front lobby, which has the reception and a casino floor. Behind reception, we can see a newspaper that talks about the grand opening of the Lucky 38. Now, the Lucky 38 was possibly opened as early as 2024, the year it is now. And then in the check-in area, we have all of these cubbies, which I would assume are maybe room keys, but there appear to be poker chips in them. And then we also have another newspaper talking about the success of the Lucky 38. Here we have some filing cabinets, but there is not much inside of them. And remember, you're the first person to enter the Lucky 38 in like 200 years. So everything in here has been frozen in time. Now behind this counter, I noticed there's pre-war money on these shelves. And then I noticed that this slot machine, for some reason, is floating in mid-air. I don't know why it's like that, but yeah, it's just kind of stuck inside the wall, and now it's floating. And it won't come unstuck. If we head up towards the VIP lounge, we have a nice area with a lot of alcohol and Sunset Sarsaparilla and Nuka-Cola. And again, this place has not been touched in over 200 years. It's all full. Here we also have the Golden Gloves, which appear to have been part of some kind of boxing tournament. Now, scattered throughout the Lucky 38 is pre-war money, which in Fallout New Vegas is pretty good because it has 0 weight and they're worth 10 caps. So if you get a lot of pre-war money, it's pretty valuable. Now there's these newspapers all over the Lucky 38 and picture frames, however they all say the same thing. Now below the VIP area we have a lot of gun cabinets, but this room appears to have been the room where they had all of their money and all of the casino chips for gambling. It's a very important area, of course, for the casino. And then on this counter we have a tray with a Nuka-Cola and coffee mug, so I'd like to imagine somebody got room service and then the bombs fell. They never got it. Also across the Lucky 38, you'll see these advertisements advertising the hotel and how amazing it is. This one talks about its incredible rooms, its incredible prices. I was trying to read the text on the pictures, but it's a bit low resolution, but it says executive suites, spacious rooms, and reasonable prices. As I already mentioned, lots of pre-war money in this place, inside the cash registers especially. Inside the safes, we can find chems, medical supplies, and even ammunition and weapons. So, not bad, but not so great either. I did find it weird, however, that the Lucky 38 staff put like chems and guns and ammunition in these safes and not a lot of money, although this one had money inside of it. Also, one of the counters you can find a few bottle caps, but for the most part there's not many bottle caps in here, which makes sense because this place was frozen in time for 200 years. Next, by the VIP area, we have this door, but it's inaccessible, so maybe it was cut content or just nothing. And then we had some roulette tables. Also, there are these slot machines, and on the wall here we can see advertisements for like different shows. So here we have some kind of jazz group, and then here we have some kind of like genie or magician show. So pretty cool, kind of real to the real Las Vegas, where you have lots of shows, lots of music, stuff like that. And over here we have the like main bar area, and again, like the other bar, it's pretty stocked full of stuff. Lots of cigarettes, lots of beer, lots of alcohol. So again, nobody's touched it, so you can make a pretty good fortune if you were to open up a business here. And then we just have more of these advertisements advertising different shows. I did want to say though, the Lucky 38 kind of creeps me out, kind of like a liminal space. It's just empty, there's nothing in it, and it gives me a lot of feelings similar to that of The Shining, the famous horror movie from Stanley Kubrick, written by Stephen King. Now, moving up to the penthouse, this is where House is, and there's a lot more activity here. Up here we can find Jane, who claims to be one of Mr. House's girls. And we might be able to get some more history on these girls if we talk to Raul.
I remember there were some weird stories about him, especially near the end. There was a tell-all in El Periódico de las Arboridas by a starlet House dated. She said they never, don't make me spell it out, boss. Anyway, she said all he wanted to do was scan her brain and make her dress up in different outfits. It was quite the scandal. At least in the Latin American tabloid journalism market.
So Raul says that he made girls dress up in different outfits and then scan their brains, possibly to create these girl Securitrons for Mr. House, which is kind of weird. If we look at Mr. House's terminal, we can see a lot of security cameras that look at different places on the strip. And then there's also a lot of pre-war books in this room, kind of making a library of sorts, but none of these books are special. They just say pre-war book worth 1 cap. Then in the next room, I've really never been in here. There's just no point to being in here. There's like a reception area where we have a big dinner table where I assume Mr. House would eat or possibly entertain guests. Kind of weird to me, there's like a kitchen over in this area. So it definitely seems more of like a private area for Mr. House. And it would appear the dinner table has been untouched. It looks like it was set for breakfast or something. Then if we go behind the elevator, we just have this like little lobby area. And inside here, we have some protectrons, which were built by Mr. House's companies. These appear to be some kind of model. And that one over there is a Nuka-Cola model. So kind of interesting, and I'm assuming he would use these to show off to potential clients or something if the clients were going to make a big order. Maybe, I'm not sure. But a lot of kind of weird or interesting stuff up here, but it definitely seems like this area was used for like some kind of meeting. Then over here we have these really weird pictures, and I can't really make out what they're supposed to be. So, what do you guys think this penthouse floor was used for? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Another thing I wanted to mention was the Lucky 38 was built just after House was born. So he did not design it himself. He later purchased the Lucky 38 and then upgraded it to his specifications. So next I wanted to take a look at the cocktail lounge. Now this is easily the most overlooked part of the entire Lucky 38 because truthfully there really is not much up here. Probably the most notable thing up here is we have a snow globe which is worth 2,000 caps. For whatever reason, the nuclear test site snow globe is inside the Lucky 38 and not at the nuclear test site itself. I don't understand why that is, but just something interesting. But this place is very empty and it has a very Shining-esque feel to it, at least to me. I'm the only person in here. Your companions cannot come to this floor. It's empty. There's no robots. There's nothing. So it's a little bit spooky to me. And if you look at the ceiling, you'll notice there's some pink kind of neon lights. So I imagine this was a happening place during the pre-war era. Now another thing I want to point out, which is quite interesting, is there's a hard-locked briefcase kind of near the elevator on the right side of the elevator. If you open up the suitcase, you'll find some ammunition and some C4 and a detonator. Really interesting, and I wonder if somebody was planning to assassinate Mr. House. As we know, Mr. House and the Enclave or Vault-Tec did not see eye to eye, so maybe somebody wanted Mr. House dead. And the final area of the Lucky 38 is, of course, the Presidential Suite. I imagine this is the area most players know at least pretty well because this is where you can send your companions, and it can be used as player housing, of course. In here we have a recreation room with a pool table, and on the table with the radio is some Jake's juice, which is a kind of alcohol, and also the snow globes are stored in there. Then we have a kitchen, and in this room we have a little office space along with some beds and storage lockers. And then we have the bathroom, and this bathroom is really unique to me with these curtains and then 2 bathtubs and kind of a weird floor. So a little bit interesting design maybe, but overall this Presidential Suite is pretty cool. I always use it as just my main base of operations. However, the downside is you have to kind of go through a lot of loading screens to access it. And of course you can upgrade the Presidential Suite. You can add some weapon lockers, some more storage area, and of course some workbenches. It also adds Sunset Sarsaparilla vending machines and stuff, so some kind of cool decorations. So some real quick interesting trivia about the Lucky 38. The design of the Lucky 38 is based on the real-life Stratosphere Hotel and Casino, or today it's just called the Strat. And it's also loosely based on the Landmark Hotel and Casino. However, the Landmark Casino was demolished in 1995. But interestingly enough, the Landmark was owned for some time by Howard Hughes. And as we mentioned in a previous video, Howard Hughes, who was an American aerospace engineer and very rich person, heavily inspired the character of Mr. House, Robert House, in Fallout New Vegas. But that, guys, is the Lucky 38. Let me know what you guys thought of this video in the comment section below. I plan to do more places on the Las Vegas Strip because they were recommended to me by several people. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, if you have any recommendations for the next video, please post them in the comment section below. Until next time. Hello everyone, the Army of Otters here, and welcome back to the Unexplored Mojave. Today we're going to be looking at Gypsum Train Yard. Now, before we did a video on the abandoned train tunnel between the Brotherhood of Steel Bunker and Nellis Air Force Base. Well, this train track, if you keep following it down, will lead to Gypsum Train Yard. And you can actually see it on the map without a map marker. It's these train tracks. It's just northwest of the Cap Counterfeiting Shack and south of the Brotherhood of Steel Bunker. So the big enemy here is going to be the Blind Deathclaw. Now, these Deathclaws are actually a little bit better than normal Deathclaws despite their name because they have +1 perception. So I guess they have really good hearing or something like that. But I actually found this place to be quite easy, and maybe it's just because now I've cleared other places with Deathclaws, Deathclaw Promontory, Deadwind Cavern, and of course Quarry Junction. So to me, this was the easiest place out of all of them, And then we can see Rex here being a badass and just taking out 2 Deathclaws. But using the anti-material rifle with explosive rounds made this place super easy. And unfortunately though, for clearing out all of these Deathclaws, you get absolutely nothing. And it's kind of sad, but I don't really care because I had a lot of fun exploring this place still. And it's always a fun challenge, I think, to kill Deathclaws, so I enjoyed the sport. And while getting a bunch of loot would be nice, it's at least just fun to go fight Deathclaws. At least to me it is. Now here in Gypsum Train Yard we have this quarry office, and if you go inside there's ants. However, there's only a couple ants, and you can kill them pretty easily, especially if you're here to kill Deathclaws. Now inside this office is your reward. You can get a star bottle cap in the next room on a desk. However, I actually missed the bottle cap, but I saw it in my replay. Now, this star bottle cap actually has a lot of issues as far as glitches. Sometimes it'll phase into the desk, there it is next to the computer, but sometimes it'll phase into the desk or it'll get thrown around during the fighting, making it impossible to get unless you reload the save. If we go over to where the mine is, we find these pools of water where a lot of the dead Deathclaws have found their grave. And there really is not a whole lot here though. It seems like they kind of just copy and pasted some assets from Quarry Junction to this place. Here we can see that there's some rocks up here, maybe limestone if it's like Quarry Junction. But from up here you can get some pretty damn good views of the surrounding area. Now here's Gypsum Train Yard, the map marker on the map. And I also wanted to mention that Gypsum Train Yard was influenced by the Nevada Industrial Switch Railway Station, which serves the Gypsum Mine in northeast Las Vegas. So, like most places, this is based on a real place. So after killing all the Deathclaws, I just started checking out some of the smaller details, and there's like a dumpster, an electrical box, and then I decided to blow up this truck because why not? There's nothing else here. And then we have a tractor, and I thought these tractors were a little bit interesting because I don't really notice them in other places so much. Then we have the railways. There's 3 of them, and the trains can obviously be parked here or switched to wherever they need to go. And I assume they would just collect minerals or rocks from the actual mine. But unfortunately, none of the trains are accessible, so I wonder if Obsidian had larger plans for this place, but it was just cut from the final game. And then off in the distance, we can see Camp Gulch. So then I went to the top of this mountain, and there's actually a tractor up here. I have no clue how anyone managed to get it up here, so a bit interesting, but clearing out some of the rock at the top of this hill. And then off in the distance is the entrance to Vault 34, one of my most dreaded places in Fallout New Vegas. Then I noticed this like hole in the ground though, which reminded me of Scorpion Burrow down by Crescent Canyon, and I was really sad when I could not enter this hole. And what I think it is because there's mole rats surrounding it, I think this is a mole rat burrow. So kind of interesting, and an unmarked area in New Vegas that this valley full of mole rats just sits between all of these locations. Alright guys, that is Gypsum Train Yard, but one more thing I wanted to do. After completing all 4 major Deathclaw areas in New Vegas, I wanted to rank them on terms of difficulty. So, number 4, I'm putting Gypsum Train Yard. This was by far the easiest for me. I did not die one time, and killing all the Deathclaws was quite easy. Number 3 will be Quarry Junction. This might be a little bit surprising, but I thought Quarry Junction was pretty easy. Using high vantage points in the anti-material rifle, I was able to clear it out pretty effectively. Number 2 is Deathclaw Promontory. Just the sheer number of Deathclaws makes this place significantly more difficult, in my opinion, than Quarry Junction. And number 1, Deadwind Cavern. While Deadwind Cavern might have less Deathclaws than any of these locations, you have to fight them in a confined area. So it makes your choice of weapon much more limited, and it is a much more difficult fight, in my opinion. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. What do you guys think are the most difficult Deathclaw places in Fallout New Vegas? And if you have any recommendations for the next video, please post them in the comments section below. Until next time. Hello everyone, the Army of Otters here, and welcome back to the Unexplored Mojave. Today we're going to be looking at the Gomorrah Hotel and Casino. This idea was recommended to me by Bob Mew, who wanted me to cover the Gomorrah. Now the Gomorrah might be one of the most despicable places on all of New Vegas. There's some very dark stuff going on inside, and it sits right at the center of Fallout New Vegas on the Las Vegas Strip. Now if you don't know, the name Gomorrah comes from the Bible, in which God sentenced two cities, Sodom and Gomorrah, to destruction for their wickedness. So Gomorrah, because of its namesake, is a place of wickedness and sinfulness in Fallout New Vegas. So of course, as we enter Gomorrah, we're going to be asked to hand over all of our weapons. However, we can keep holdout weapons if we so choose. Now behind the reception desk, we have this key holder similar to the Lucky 38, indicating that in the Fallout universe, they probably still use actual keys instead of using card keys like we use in our universe. Then we had a newspaper talking about a facelift the Gomorrah got, and we have a fire pit. Inside the main casino area, we have a rotating image of a woman and a fire beneath it, kind of representing hell, and this hotel carries an Arab theme with it. Now, the Gomorrah was likely inspired by the Dunes Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. However, this hotel was demolished in 1993, but like the Gomorrah, it carried an Arab theme with it. And funny enough, today, the former site of the Dunes Hotel is replaced with the Bellagio, which was the influence for another casino in New Vegas, the Ultralux. After leaving the main part of the casino, we come to Brimstone, and this is the location of a stage with pole dancers and girls in cages. And a theme throughout the Gomorrah is prostitution and sex work, and you'll see a lot of exotic dancers and people, both girls and males, inside of cages and dancing upon stages. And as I mentioned before, the Gomorrah has a theme of prostitution, but there's several other sinful activities taking place here as well. For example, the bartender does not only sell alcohol, but also sells hard drugs and all kinds of chems that are very affordable, and she calls them party favors. Just like the Lucky 38, there are newspapers scattered around the Gomorrah advertising the hotel and talking about its prestige in the pre-war era. Then if we go up this staircase, and this is only accessible upon completing the main quest, you can find the VIP area, which has several pool tables, and in here you can see I sided with Cachino during the main quest. Then in the office next door, we can find a copy of Guns and Bullets, which will increase the player's gun skill by 3 points, so that's really good. Then we can find a hard lock safe, which will allow us to access some blackmail material, which can be used during the main quest if the player so chooses. Then after that, I went over here, and even though this bar says out of order, this bartender will still sell you alcohol and party favors, so kind of interesting. And from the VIP section, you have a very good view of the stage. Then across the whole Gomorrah, you will find Omerta thugs who are part of the family here running the casino, and they watch out for any bad activities. Now, this girl in a cage can actually be spoken to, which I thought was kind of funny, if the player gets close enough. Then here we have the door, which leads to the part of the casino where we have all of the caps and money storage. Of course, it's locked behind a very hard lock. Then, heading over to the courtyard, we're actually entering an area that I feel like a lot of players might miss on an initial playthrough of Fallout New Vegas. Here we can find several prostitutes that the player character can actually interact with, those two being Joanna and Dazzle. Now, there was supposed to be a super mutant prostitute, but that was cut from the final game, probably for the better. But anyways, there's a lot of NPCs in this area, especially gamblers, both male and female. And interestingly enough, the player character can sleep in any of these beds without having to pay any kind of money. So it's a good place to rest up, I guess. Over here we can see somebody dancing and then some gamblers enjoying the show. Then if we move up to the second story, there's several cabanas where the player character can find beds and can actually sleep. And all of these overlook the courtyard, and it has kind of a nice appearance, I suppose. And if you've ever been to the real Las Vegas, this kind of setup where there's cabanas overlooking the pool or something is fairly common. But besides that, there's really not a lot of interest on this floor. Then on the opposite side of the second floor, you can find Joanna's room. However, I was unable to locate Joanna, so I don't know if it had to do with my actions during the main quest or what, but this room is relatively empty. Now, heading over to the lower floor, we can find the remainder of the Brimstone Club. Also, there's these advertisements across the Gomorrah for shows, just like in the Lucky 38. In Lower Brimstone, we're greeted with some exotic dancers as we get off the elevator. And as we go about this lower level, I find it to be a bit confusing. It's kind of a maze of sorts, but eventually you can find the main club, where we have a very large stage and a very large bar, along with some more miniature stages and exotic dancers. This place is populated with several travelers and gamblers. Now, in the Gomorrah, it actually allows ghouls. However, the other two casinos on the strip, the Ultralux and the Tops, do not permit ghouls, so we have some discrimination going on. But because of that, the Gomorrah actually employs ghoul prostitutes for ghoul customers. So, kind of interesting. Then we're led into another big room with some benches and beds and a lot of Omerta thugs. And this lower level is important for the main quest, but besides that, there's just a club down here. Moving on to the top story is where we can find some extremely disturbing stuff. So maybe I would advise viewer discretion if you do not like murder or any kind of torture. Up here, you're greeted with a blood stain as you get off the elevator, along with several Omerta thugs watching your every action. If we come to this hallway, we can find a locked door, and I have stolen the key. However, you might have to pick this lock to access this room. Upon entering, you're going to find several stains of blood, knives, medical equipment, and what's supposed to be a dead prostitute. However, there's a glitch in the game where she comes back to life for whatever reason. However, the player character is unable to interact with her because it just keeps bringing up the medical screen to inspect the body. Upon investigating the body, you can find that the person was likely tortured before they died. So a very dark scene going on here, but kind of alleviated by the glitch. And as you can see here, this girl continued to move about as if everything was fine, but I was unable to interact with her. In the opposite room, you can just find a maintenance closet, and there's nothing special in here, but we do have a garden gnome, which I think is awesome. But besides that, if you do more investigation, you can actually find out who is behind the murders, and this story is really dark. Upon entering one of the hotel rooms, all of these rooms, by the way, are VIP rooms and reserved for the family, which owns the Gomorrah. Upon investigating this room, you're going to find tons of bloodstains as well, just like the previous room. And this hotel room belongs to Clandon. And upon further investigation, we can learn that Clandon is actually making snuff films. Snuff films are a type of movie or video which shows people being murdered for some kind of pleasure or enjoyment. It's actually a real thing in real life. It's very disturbing. And Clandon here is making these videos within the Fallout universe. So me, Rex, and Raul decided to kind of teach him a lesson in order to stop Clandon's heinous crimes from continuing. As long as you do this in secret, there will be no repercussions from the Omerta family for killing him. So, as I said at the beginning of the video, the Gomorrah has a reputation for being a place of sin, and it really lives up to that reputation. From prostitution, to drugs, to murder, to blackmail. It has everything you could think of. This is truly a very dark place, and even the man who's probably the best for the strip, Cachino, is guilty of abusing prostitutes. So this is a very kind of dark place within New Vegas, and a lot of it is easily overlooked by the player character just trying to complete the main quest. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any recommendations for the next video, please post them in the comment section below. Until next time. Hello everyone, the Army of Otters here, and welcome back to the Unexplored Mojave. Today we're going to be taking a look at Ranger Station Delta. This ranger station is pretty cool, and the surrounding area is really cool for exploring, so let's check it out. So, Ranger Station Delta is located just south of Hoover Dam. As you make your way to Hoover Dam, the road splits. Left goes to Hoover Dam, right goes to Delta. It's also just north of Camp Forlorn Hope. As you make your way into the camp, you'll notice the radio tower for communications, along with the NCR flag. Inside this tent, we have the comms officer, but she is not too friendly to the player character. But she pretty much just talks about her role within the camp. Now, if we come over here, there's a fire along with some NCR Rangers and a veteran ranger, which is very scary. Those guys are very good at what they do. Inside this destroyed building, we can find just a lot of ruins. However, there's a cellar that we can explore and a wardrobe that has some clothes in it. Now, this station is built on a former farmstead, and over here we can find the outhouse, which might be having some leakage issues, judging by the pond that lies beneath it. Then we can go over here to the cellar. Now, this cellar is locked, but if you open it, it actually does not create any animosity with anyone nearby. So the NCR doesn't care if you pick that lock, and you can come down here. Down here, you can find a blueprint for Hoover Dam, which I thought was pretty cool. Again, Hoover Dam is very close to this location, so it makes sense. Then we have some medical supplies, but we cannot take any of it without stealing. And then I tried to pick this lock to see if they would let me, and the short answer is no. They will not let you pick this lock because they'll turn hostile, and then you bring Rex and Raul with you, and they just start killing everyone. So, you know, that's just how it goes sometimes. But in here we have a pool table, which is pretty cool, and just some beds and chairs. So this is a very homely ranger station, which I think is pretty cool. There's also a reloading bench down here, so it's useful, but again, you can't really use it if you're friendly with the NCR. After reloading the save, I decided to come down to the bottom of the hill, and I found what appears to be like a hiking trail, and I followed the trail towards Hoover Dam. At the end of the trail, I found Ranger Payson and a Robo-Brain, which I thought was kind of interesting, but if you talk to Ranger Payson, you learn that his job is to patrol the Colorado River to make sure the Legion doesn't come to the other side, and he actually owns this Robo-Brain, and he helps him patrol the area. So, kind of cool, because Robo-Brains are kind of rare in Fallout New Vegas. And then over here, we can get really close to the spillway. This was pointed out to me by Reese Reinhardt in a previous video. So this is the Nevada spillway, and on the opposite side we have the Arizona spillway. So pretty cool attention to detail, especially when it comes to Hoover Dam. Then on the opposite side of where we just went, there's another kind of trail, but it does not go very far. However, there's like an indent in the canyon, and it actually makes it pretty easy to go down to the bottom of the canyon, to the Colorado River. So I decided to go ahead and go to the bottom and see what I could find. And going down was pretty easy, just crouching and hugging the side of the cliff, and I was able to make my way down without taking any damage, actually. At the bottom, we find a kind of like beach alongside the Colorado River, and it is very beautiful and very peaceful, but there's not anything down here, which is kind of disappointing. Now, there is apparently a Lake Lurk Cove down here somewhere. However, I could not find it, so it might be further south, and perhaps I'll do a whole video exploring the length of the Colorado River in a later date. Swimming across the river, you're going to find this weird texture that's kind of glitched. Obviously, this part of the map is not so polished, so you're going to find more glitches. And then we can find another beachhead. However, there's nothing really over here, but it is a very cool area, and it's very beautiful. So, it is very peaceful to go to, I think. Alright everyone, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any recommendations for the next video, please leave them in the comment section below. Until next time. Hello everyone, the Army of Otters here, and welcome back to the Unexplored Mojave. Today we're going to be looking at the Tops Hotel and Casino. Now the Tops is one of the major casinos on the Strip, so we're going to go take a look at some of the places that players might miss within the casino. Now of course the Tops is owned by Benny, so most players are probably somewhat familiar with this casino. So as we enter the Tops, we're going to be greeted by the greeter, and we have to turn in our weapons, or you can keep your holdout weapons, of course. Now, personally, the Tops is probably my favorite casino on the Strip. It just has a more laid-back kind of feel to it than the Gomorrah and Ultralux. Inside, you're going to see advertisements for Dean Domino, who is from the Dead Money DLC, along with some other shows. The Tops Hotel was famous for having various shows during its run before the Great War. And here we can see the casino floor with all of the gambling tables. Now, if you wish to gamble at the Tops, you can find the cashier on the second story. Over here we have the Aces Theater, and in here is one of my favorite side quests in the game. During this quest, which is called Talent Pool, we have to recruit various musicians from around the Mojave Wasteland to perform here at the Tops to improve the quality of their show. Going back down to the first level, we can find an advertisement for the Gomorrah, which is kind of interesting. And then if we head outside to the courtyard, we can find a pool area. Now, I'll be honest, I had no recollection of this area, and I did not really know it existed, so I was very surprised to find it. But it's just a lot of gamblers and visitors outside around the swimming pool, and you can swim in it. You can actually drown in the swimming pool if you wanted to. And then there's also a diving board, so that way people can dive into a very shallow pool. Seems very safe. But pretty cool area, and something I never knew existed. If we head in through the other pair of doors, we'll come to the Tops restaurant, which is like a diner and bar area. And this is also another place that I had no idea existed. Here we have an average locked door that we can pick, and nobody will get angry at us, so that's a little bit interesting. And inside we'll find a lot of drinks and food, which would obviously be served to guests. And over here we have some empty bottles on display for customers. Now something really weird in here is you can hear birds chirping like you were outside. Listen closely. I have no idea why it's like that, if it's a glitch, if it was just oversight because of the rushed game. Now, the bartenders in the Tops only sell alcohol. In the last video at the Gomorrah, the bartenders sell party favors, but at the Tops, it's much more professional, much more legal. I mean, not that the Mojave Wasteland has, like, a law enforcement, but obviously it's more, I guess, family-friendly here. On the 13th floor, we can find various hotel rooms, along with Benny's room, and obviously this is very important for the main quest if you want to side with Yes Man, you know, the courier's victory. Then in behind Benny's room, we can find a hallway and then an elevator to the sub-basement. This is inaccessible to the player character unless you use console commands or a glitch, but basically that is an escape route for Benny. Now, there are those pictures around this hotel. There's actually a picture that shows Tenpenny Tower, which is kind of interesting, but most of these pictures are the same across the New Vegas Strip. And then as you can see here, this is the hotel room you get if you max out the cap winnings at the Tops, right? If you gamble a lot, eventually you'll get banned from the casino, but they also give you a reward. They give you a hotel room, so this can be used as player housing, and the bed is yours. However, when I woke up in the morning, there was a bunch of guys inside of my room, so that's a little bit scary maybe. But just kind of funny, really. And there's not much else on this room. All of the hotel rooms are copy and paste. So the next major place for us to visit is the Presidential Suite. Now, you might go here during the main quest if you accept Benny's invitation upon confronting him. Now, this confrontation will end up with you being attacked unless you're a female character, in which you can seduce Benny and kill him in his sleep. But most players obviously play as males, so you will be attacked in this room. Now, I decided to try and play pool, and I found out you can actually hit the balls around with a pool cue. I mean, it's not like the traditional way to play pool, but it's possible. Also, this table does have an indent in it for the balls to fall into, so I was kind of surprised at the detail. And again, we have these posters for various shows, including Dean Domino. Now, the rest of this room is just some cool design, and it's a very large hotel room. And actually, this bed counts as yours, so the player actually has 2 rooms within the Tops Hotel if he gets the hotel room for gambling. In this room, we had a lot of caps on the table, so I don't know what was going on in there, but kind of interesting. And as you saw earlier, there's a hard lock safe on this floor that has a lot of caps and ammunition in it. So that is the Tops Casino. Now, some quick interesting bits of information. The Tops was influenced by the Sands Hotel and Casino, along with the Mint Las Vegas, another hotel. However, both of these locations no longer exist within Las Vegas, but somewhat interesting. And last, Benny, who is the head of the casino and the chairman, who was voiced by the late Matthew Perry, was heavily influenced by Bugsy Siegel, who was a real-life mobster during the 20th century, based in Las Vegas. Of course, Benny is the central antagonist in the early parts of the game, until at least you reach New Vegas and you confront Benny for what he did to you. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any recommendations for the next location, please post them in the comment section below. Until next time. Hello everyone, the Army of Otters here, and welcome back to the Unexplored Mojave. Today we're going to be looking at the Colorado River, at least some of the parts we haven't explored. In my last video I said I would make this video, however there isn't really a lot along the Colorado River. If we head south from where we were in the previous video of Ranger Station Delta, we can find a kind of cave. Here we can see Raul glitching out and walking on top of water. I don't know why this was happening, but kind of an interesting glitch. And then here we can see the cave, and you can see some explosive crates and a skeleton as we approach it. The explosive crates have frag grenades and frag mines in it, so not bad. And also, normally there's lake lurks here, but for some reason they didn't spawn for me. But so there are enemies down here, and we can see the lake lurk eggs right here. So this is a kind of cool location, however it is a bit random, and it's kind of difficult to access unless you kind of carefully make your way down the nearby cliffs. Heading further down the river, I found kind of a weird glitch or an invisible wall. Obviously, since this is the eastern part of the Colorado River, it was less developed by obsidian. There's just nothing really over here besides a few unmarked locations. And as you can see here, there are some invisible walls. But really, there's not a whole lot on the Colorado River, and of course you can look at the bottom, but it's just kind of copy and paste, copy and paste. At the abandoned Brotherhood of Steel bunker, we find the northernmost ramp to the Colorado River. So we can follow this stretch of land up and down to get to the Colorado River safely. And also you get some really amazing views of the canyon. Eventually, I made my way back to Deathclaw Promontory. I made a previous video on this location. It's one of my favorite locations in New Vegas. However, I found out the Deathclaws do not respawn, which is kind of sad, I think. So now this location is just a desolate valley nestled on the east side of the Colorado River. Heading further south, the land eventually ends and it becomes all river. Eventually, there's more land to make your way up, and this is way down by Cottonwood Cove. Interestingly, we can find a lot of like these pinto bean plants, but there isn't a whole lot else on the eastern part of the Colorado, but it is interesting they added plants. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have any recommendations for the next location, please post them in the comment section below. Until next time. Hello everyone, the Army of Otters here, and welcome back to the Unexplored Mojave. Today we're going to be looking at another kind of hidden armory, similar to the Great Khan Armory. However, this armory belongs to the NCR. So, let's get into it. Also, this location was inspired by Damien Kemple457, who posted this comment on the Great Khan Armory. So, this is obviously located at Hoover Dam. So to access the armory, first you want to go to the visitor center and then take this elevator. To access this armory, you're going to need 50 speech plus an accepted or higher reputation with the NCR. And as we're down here, we can see the generator room, which is pretty cool, but then we want to go to the Hoover Dam offices. Take the first left, and then you're going to find a winding staircase. Go down. And then the armory is going to be here on the right, and we can find the quartermaster. So Barden here initially does not want to sell to you, but if you have 50 speech along with an accepted or higher reputation, you can convince him to sell to you.
Regulations. Well, that is great and all, but it's really against regulations. I guess I can make an exception, just for you.
So once you have convinced him, you'll notice that Barden has an even more valuable armory than the Great Khan's. It's 92,000 caps for the normal ammo, and if we add in the rockets, it's 250,000 caps for everything, which is absolutely nuts. I ended up only spending about 50,000 caps here to get all the ammunition that I wanted. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope this video helps you in your playthrough of Fallout New Vegas. If you have any recommendations for the next video, please post them in the comment section below. Until next time. Hello everyone, the Army of Otters here, and welcome back to the Unexplored Mojave. Today we're going to be looking at the New Vegas sewers. This was recommended to me a while ago by Chungus666, and then Lock-in Joside also recommended this location. For the purpose of organization, I'm going to be dividing this video into 3 parts, so today we're just going to focus on the central sewers and the sealed sewers. Now this is a location I was not very familiar with, and I had never explored it before. I was aware of the Thorn, which is like a combat arena, but besides that I had no true knowledge of these other sewer systems, and they're literally right beneath our feet. So let's delve into the New Vegas sewer system. So in this video we're only going to be looking at the central sewer system and the sealed sewer system. So to access, you want to go to Camp McCarran, and then the entrance is literally right outside Camp McCarran. Upon entering, you'll be greeted with 2 NCR troopers who are patrolling this area to protect it from fiends, rats, and ghouls, which are the main enemies down here. And then you will see this door which leads to the main sewer system. So here you can go right or left. I chose to go left, but going right might be the better choice for convenience. You could complete the sewer a lot faster. On your way up, you'll notice some giant rats, and then there are fiends at the top of this incline, so you want to make sure you kill them, and they kind of have an advantage, but with power armor, I was able to power through them. Going to our left, we can find another room with a fiend inside of it. Now, something that's important to consider while you're in the Vegas sewers is that this place was supposed to be a lot bigger. There was supposed to be a southwest and northwest sewer system, but both were cut from the final game, and you can see the remnants of those cuts with doors that are blocked off, and I'll show those throughout the video. Inside this room, we can find the entrance to the sealed sewers. However, we cannot go in here without first acquiring a key that is found on 2 people within the sewers, but you just have to find one of the bodies, and luckily one of the bodies is located in the central sewers. And as I mentioned earlier, there was supposed to be more to the sewer system, and this was in all likelihood going to be an entrance towards the southwestern sewers, but it was cut from the final game. As you get further into the central sewers, you will find some ghouls and rats, so you want to make quick work of them. If you come here in the early game, I imagine it would be somewhat difficult, but since I'm a fairly high level at this point, it's not so bad. In this room, the path splits off to the left and to the right, so first we'll go to the left, which leads up this incline. And here on the left, you can see what would probably be another door, either to the southwest sewers or towards the northwest sewers. But like I said, that was cut from the final game. Eventually you'll find this large central room, and at the top you can find a blocked off tunnel, which might have also provided access to the northwest sewers. But inside this room, we're kind of met with a dead end, and we cannot go anywhere. Even though this place is actually pretty close to the north sewers, at least on the local map, it has no door towards the north sewers. Coming back to where the path split off, we'll find a large incline, and if we make our way to the top, you want to be careful though, because there might be some ghouls right behind you that scare the crap out of you. But as we make the way to the top, we will discover that this will provide an entrance towards the north sewers. However, in this video, we will not be going there, but this is one of the ways you can travel to the north sewers from the central sewers. As you make your way further into the sewers, you'll eventually find a closed door surrounded by 2 red lights. Upon opening the door, you'll find a dead body who is Blind Luke. And on Blind Luke, we can find Luke's Find, which is a key that opens up the sealed sewers. So we are all in business now to go to that locked door. If you keep continuing up this path, eventually you'll find another incline along with a room with a ghoul inside of it. If you kill the ghoul, you'll find a dead body in here that has some minor loot on the body, such as ammunition and bottle caps, which is not too bad, but not too great either. In this bag, you'll also find a copy of Programmer's Digest, or maybe another random skill magazine, along with some stim packs. And then this manhole also leads to the north sewers. Coming back towards where we entered this like main chamber where there's 3 doors, 2 of which take us to the east sewers. In here, there's going to be a lot of ghouls, so be ready. I was kind of overrun by the ghouls and the rat because they all came charging me at once. But I was able to clear them out thanks to the LMG. So as I said, 2 of the doors lead to the east sewers, but the central door leads to a room with a terminal, and this terminal is somewhat interesting. Before getting into the terminal though, there's an advanced radiation suit in this case. But onto the terminal, which is an easy lock, we get a message: Central Sewer Control, Access Override, House Directive 449B. So I'm not sure what this is, and I tried looking it up on the internet, but I didn't come up with many results. I did find one post saying that House used it to override a door down here, but I think possibly House was using it to gain control of the sewer system. Obviously, sewers are very important for a city and to run a city, so it makes sense if House wanted control of the sewers away from the city management. Anyways, that's just my theory since House is the governing body of New Vegas. Now moving on to the sealed sewers, using the key we got from Blind Luke, we will find a lot of ghouls in this section. Having an LMG was extremely useful, so you might want to have some good weapons to clear them out efficiently, like I did. Upon clearing them out, you can find a dead body in the next room. And this is where we can find a special weapon, the Humble Cudgel. Now, the Humble Cudgel is why most people come to the sewers. It's a unique melee weapon that is worth a good amount of money. Next to it is a duffel bag with some ammunition, along with combat armor, which is really good. And there we have it, the central and the sealed sewers. Now, look forward to part 2 and part 3 in the near future. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you have any recommendations for the next location, please post them in the comment section below. Until next time. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Unexplored Mojave. Today we're going to be checking out the New Vegas sewers, and this is part 2 of our New Vegas sewers exploration. And in part 1 we checked out the central and sealed sewers, and in this part we're going to check out the eastern and northern sewers. So there are several entrances to the eastern sewers, but in my opinion, the entrance by the east pump station was the easiest for me to keep track of where I've been and for me to organize this video. So we're going in near the east pump station and the NCR Sharecropper Farms. Upon entering the sewer, you'll be confronted with ghouls and giant rats, as you can see here. Now the rats are pretty easy to kill, but the ghouls could be more difficult for lower levels. But I think this part of the sewers was a bit easier than the central and sealed sewers. So it might be a good place to go in the early game to farm some XP and to get some ammunition and a small amount of caps. In here we have unusually large-sized rodents, which is something I had not really seen before. Of course you have the rodents of unusual size, but this was a little bit different and not a Wild Wasteland perk. Now inside this room you'll find the body of Sweet Jill, who has the key on her for the sealed sewers, or you can go to the other guy, Blind Luke. Now there's also a duffel bag in here with some ammunition and caps and stuff, so not too bad. And then moving further into the eastern sewers, you're going to encounter a lot of rats. Those rats jumped in unison. That was pretty freaking cool. But there's just going to be a lot of ghouls and rats, so be prepared to fight them off, but I don't think it's too difficult because they're pretty spaced out. Now I do have to say, while these tunnels and sewers might not be so difficult, they are pretty scary, and the ghouls and rats and everything just kind of adds to the creepy atmosphere. Now, like I said, there are several entrances to the eastern sewers, so I decided to go ahead and find out where all of them are. So the first one is over here, and this is right next to Aero Tech Office Park, which is owned by the NCR, and the sewer location, the manhole, is literally just right in front of it, right beneath our feet. So, pretty cool. And continuing into the sewer and going to the further back of the eastern sewer, you're going to find two large doors that lead to the central sewers. So these two doors were shown in the previous video from the other side. Now back towards the middle, we will find a door, and inside we can find a hard-locked gun locker. However, it's not that good of loot for a hard lock. We just get some ammunition and a submachine gun and a plasma mine, but not that great for a hard lock. Now, for whatever reason, this ammunition box doesn't have an opening ammunition. Like this toolbox, it opens. The ammunition box doesn't open. I don't know why. Then, going up this very large incline, you come to a four-way intersection. And first, if we go right, we will find a ladder to the Mojave. This ladder takes you just east of the sharecropper farms, and for some reason there was a fiend here. Normally there aren't fiends over here, and I had a similar encounter later in the video. But here we can see the entrance. Moving further up the incline all the way to the top, we find another grate that opens up to Freeside, the gate, and near the gun runners. So pretty cool, and again another fiend attacking me. But we got a very beautiful view of Las Vegas and then the manhole. And then here we can see the location on the mini-map. Going back into the sewer and going to that T intersection, we can go to the other side now, and we'll enter this room with a staircase. On the top floor, we'll find a very long pipe, and by following this pipe, we can enter the northern sewers, so we will do so. And inside the northern sewers, we're greeted with a very large room with a pool of radioactive water on the bottom. Here, there is nobody that is hostile. Instead, you're going to find very poor, homeless New Vegas citizens.
Looks like the entire region's going straight where we are, knee-deep in shit.
I thought that was a pretty funny line, which I had not heard before. But I really like this room because it's very large, there's lots of citizens, and it really just feels like a slum, so credit to Obsidian for creating a pretty interesting atmosphere. And looking up at this central tunnel, I don't really know what this is, so if anybody has any information about what that might be used for in the comments, please leave it below. In this big room, we have some beds and shelves that the player can sleep in, and then we have a large room with a pool. Now, I do have to say this area is quite confusing, and it's very maze-like with all of these winding tunnels and tight turns. So if you come here, be ready to get lost. Then we have a large central room with some more citizens, and through this door we can find another exit. Now, one thing I really liked about this place was the citizens had a lot of unique dialogue, so that was pretty neat. Then if we go to the exit, we come up near the Crimson Caravan, right beside it actually, and next to the New Vegas Medical Clinic. Continuing along the path we were on, and we can find another exit that takes us to the other gate of Freeside. So you could use these tunnels pretty effectively to move around quickly. Of course, in Fallout New Vegas, though, you have fast travel, so you don't have much use for that. But it's a cool concept, at least. And then continuing along this pathway, and eventually we will come to like a three-way intersection. Not this, but the next one. And we can go straight or right, and there's a lot of citizens in this room. Going right, we will find another exit. And then upon going up this ladder, we will find ourselves in the North Vegas Square. So we are moving along the outer parts of New Vegas pretty efficiently here, as you can see. But continuing through this, you really get to see that this can get very confusing very quickly. So many tunnels, so many doors, so many exits. Thankfully, the local map in here is actually pretty good. Now the next exit will take us into the interior of the North Vegas Square, which could provide a pretty useful means of escape. Now this next room is empty. I'm not sure if it was supposed to be something else and got cut or what the deal is. And finally, making our way through the rest of the northern sewers, we will find a couple of doors. The first door will take us to the Miguel's pawn shop right outside of it. And then the other door will take us to the Thorn, but we will investigate that place in the next part, the next episode. But as you can see here, Miguel's pawn shop, and I had not discovered this location yet, so they got it discovered for me. And here you can see the location, and then here's the door to the Thorn, but we will not be going there yet. And then in this main central room, we have a lot of civilians who are standing by this fire and getting warm and just going about their daily lives. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Unexplored Mojave. If you have any recommendations for the next video, please post them in the comment section below. Until next time.
If there's war, it won't affect our city.
Hello everyone, the Army of Otters here, and welcome back to the Unexplored Mojave. Today we're going to be looking at the last part of the New Vegas sewer system. Today we're looking at arguably the most interesting part of the sewer system, the Thorn, which is a giant fighting arena within the sewer, and it's honestly one of my favorite places in New Vegas, so let's dive right into it. So, this area around the Thorn is actually pretty cool. It's like a rundown park, and there's some buildings surrounding it, and this is right next to West Side. Now, I did want to go over the entrance to the Thorn. Where exactly is it? It can be a little bit difficult to find on the map. My biggest recommendation would be to go here from the NCR, from Camp McCarran. If you come from Freeside, you're going to kind of have to walk all the way around and then through West Side. So I think coming from Camp McCarran or like the Sunset Sarsaparilla headquarters is the best route to get here. Then we can go inside. So the interior of the Thorn is just kind of a circle, but if you go to your right, I think it's the fastest way to find Red Lucy, who is the lady that runs this entire show. And you'll want to talk to her if you want to place bets or if you want to fight in the arena. And as you can see, it's a very large central arena, and you can see how the fights and the audience kind of works. If you go talk to Red Lucy, there's a lot of dialogue options with her, so I'm just kind of going to go straight into the betting. So in order to bet, you have to talk to her and ask her what the next fight is, and she will then tell you what creatures are going to fight, and then you can vote for red team or blue team. And I decided to bet on blue team in this match. Now it is random, it's just depending on which creature does better in the fight. So here we have two red scorpions fighting, and I put my caps on blue. So let's see who wins. And blue team won. As you can see, the right side is blue team. There's a blue light above the gate, and on the left side is red team, indicated by the red light. Then Lucy will double your caps if you pick the correct winner, and of course if you lose, there's no reward. Now, the fun part, to me at least, is if you want to fight in the arena. You get three options: giant mantises, rad scorpions, or giant rad scorpions. For the purpose of this video, I decided to fight all three of them to show what it is like. However, I think all three are actually pretty easy once you're a high level, and the cap reward is not too great for these fights and for the ammunition that you'll expend. But here we can see the giant mantises, and they never even really got out of their cage because I was using a sniper rifle, which was really effective and easy against them. But this place, to me, is just really fun to come and fight. For me, it's not really about the caps, it's more about the atmosphere. It just feels like a place that would exist in the post-apocalyptic wasteland. So I really enjoy it. I really enjoy the atmosphere, its location, everything about it. And I also must admit, I have some nostalgia for this place, because this is a place I remember fondly as a child. Anyways, you get 30 caps for killing the giant mantises. And then we have the normal rad scorpions, which are pretty easy to take out, as we can see here. Again, just using the same sniper rifle. Now, if you look up in the arena, you'll notice people in the audience cheering you on, which we'll take a look at later when I was fighting the giant rad scorpions. and taking out this rad scorpion was really easy. Now, for killing the rad scorpions, you only get 60 caps, so again, not very much. And for the final fight, I decided to show off my character, and you just feel like a badass in this place, to be quite honest. It's a lot of fun. But using a minigun against the giant rad scorpions was very effective, although they almost got a hit on me, which was kind of scary. But as you can see here, dealing a lot of damage, making quick work of these rad scorpions, until I ran out of ammo, but I jumped and evaded the strike from the rad scorpion. Then I'm going to look up here, kind of, and you can see people in the audience and the people watching you. Also, there's not really much in the actual battle arena. There's some pipes and stuff, but nothing too special. And then you get 120 caps for killing the giant rad scorpions. And after that, you can actually set up custom fights if you would like, but that will cost you money. Then I wanted to walk around the rest of the Thorn to see what else it has to offer. Now, the citizens in here have unique dialogue, and so I was trying to talk to them to see what they would say to me. Over here we have some of the cages where they keep the creatures from around the wasteland. And you have all kinds of creatures. And here you have the mantises, and in here you have cazadors. God, I hate these things so much. And then in the last one we have some geckos. So, you know, we have a little bit of everything from around the Mojave, and there's another area of cages that we will go explore later. And then there's a dead end. Over here we can see a gate, and this gate would allow the creatures to go into the arena. Of course, they have to have a way to get them into the arena. Otherwise, that would be very dangerous to just bring them out. Now, heading a little bit back towards the main entrance, there's a locked door that we cannot access without a key. And then if we head back to Red Lucy, you'll notice there's a stairwell towards the battle arena. However, I think this is just here in case you fall into the battle arena. So, just like a safety precaution. Then we're going to look at Red Lucy's room, and she has not much in here, but there is a terminal that I decided not to hack, but I'm sure it has some interesting information on it regarding her little operation within the Thorn. And then we have the next set of cages, and in this first cage there's no animals inside of it. And then in the next cage we can find some rad scorpions. And then in the next cage we can find some night stalkers. And in the last cage we can find the all too dreadful death claws, which is kind of scary. I imagine they just hatched the eggs right here. I cannot imagine the process of killing a death claw. And then we have the cage or a gate that would allow the creatures into the arena. Now there's also a manhole here which will take you to the blue team entrance, where they would go into the battle arena. And then coming back out of the cages and going to the end of the hallway here, we can find a door that leads to the north sewers, which we covered in part 2. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you've never been to the Thorn, I'd highly recommend booting up New Vegas and going to this place and completing some of the quests. Red Lucy also has a very difficult and fun quest called Bleed Me Dry. I'd highly recommend checking it out. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any recommendations for the next video, please post them in the comment section below. Until next time. Hello everyone, the Army of Otters here, and welcome back to the Unexplored Mojave. Today we're going to be looking at the I-88 Trading Post. This was recommended to me by Grim141. I know what you might be thinking. I-88, that is an essential place for many Fallout New Vegas players, because it's where you find Veronica, and for a normal playthrough, it's right on your way to the New Vegas Strip. However, there are some interesting secrets located here at the base, so let's find out what they are. In case you don't know, the I-88 Trading Post is located just north of Vault 11, right on the highway here on your way to New Vegas. Now, Michelle here has some ammunition that she will sell you, but she doesn't have a whole lot, but I guess it's better than nothing, especially if you're on an early playthrough. So Samuel over here will actually have some more interesting dialogue. So he tells you about his and Michelle's story. They used to live in Prim, and then they moved, though, when the Powder Gangers kind of took over and cut off traffic from Prim towards the Strip. His daughter is Michelle, and they opened up this trading post at the I-88, and it's been extremely profitable. So just some kind of interesting dialogue, and also he sells some alcohol and food for travelers passing by. But kind of interesting, and it's interesting to see how the world is affecting the characters within it, like the powder gangers. Over here we have a trailer with some empty beds in it. I couldn't really get inside for some reason, so I did a 360 and I was able to get in. But there's just some beds in there that anyone can use. I'm guessing it's just for travelers. And then over here we had an NCR heavy trooper, which is reflective of my level. Normally if you're a lower level, they don't spawn into the game. Then we have an NCR tent, I'm guessing being used by NCR troops. Now this arms merchant over here actually has some pretty interesting dialogue. She'll tell you about her time with the NCR and how she was discharged for not reporting deserters because they just got drunk and they were so young. And also she informs us that many NCR troops only have 2 weeks of training before they are shipped out, and that new recruits lack body armor. So we can see some of the big issues and the supply issues within the NCR thanks to her dialogue. Then we want to check out underneath the overpass, and it wasn't until Grim told me that there was somebody under here that I knew it. I had no idea before, and I have tons of hours in this game. So I was very surprised to find not only 1 but 3 NPCs down here, 2 of which are actually very interesting. The first of which is the Forecaster. He is a young boy who can make predictions for you, the I-88 trading post, and for the whole Mojave wasteland. He can give you 3 predictions, but each prediction costs 100 caps. So let's hear what he has to say about the courier.
Okay, let me take off my medicine. Your face does the thinking. 2 to the skull, yet 1 gets up. Odds are against you, but they're just numbers after the 2 to 1. You're playing the hand you've been dealt, but you don't let it rest. You shuffle and stack. And a gamble. A gamble that may pay off, but how? Forecast? Rapidly changing conditions. A lot of thinking. Most of it in your face. It's almost shouting at me. Sorry if I said anything weird.
Next, I decided to ask him about Everywhere, or the Mojave Wasteland.
Let me take off my medicine. Bull and bear over the dam, at each other's throats. But a light from Vegas? Balls spinning on the wheel, more than 2 at the table, placing bets. All lose in different ways. A dam of corpses, towns of corpses, scattered across the sand. But whose? In what shares? Even the dealer doesn't know. Forecast, a rain of blood will flood the desert and not purify it. Blah. Thinking about Everywhere always makes me feel a little sick.
And then I asked him about here or the I-88 trading post.
What should I do my thinking about this time? I need to take off my medicine. Local. The here and now. Little of interest. Things to buy. False hopes and regrets watered down. Washed down in dirty glasses. With regret comes a girl. Smiling sad. Brown robe. Name Veronica. Half here. Wraps her and her heart up like a pack. In the pack. A key, some say. Forecast. Cloudy with a chance of friendship. Ouch. Thinking small only hurts a little, but it's a sharp pain.
So I want to point out a couple of things about the Forecaster. First, his character is influenced by the Psychers from the Cathedral in Fallout 1. But also reading more into it, the person who created this character, Joshua Sawyer, actually later regretted some of the dialogue, saying he went a little over the edge with the writing, which is kind of interesting. What do you guys think? Also, the thing that the Forecaster is wearing, which he calls his medicine, is actually called a psychic nullifier, but it cannot be acquired by the player except through console command. And then the boy has all of this kind of like junk on sale, but he's not selling any of it. It's all his stuff, and he just sells his thoughts. Then over here we have Alexander, who actually works for the gun runners, and you can convince him to sell you ammunition and weapons. And kind of like the Great Khans and the NCR Armory at Hoover Dam, this is a really good armory. You can buy a lot of ammunition here. So really good place to stop by and get some ammo if you need it. He has everything from mini nukes, missiles, all kinds of bullets, and also some weapon mods. So really good inventory if you are looking for a way to increase your ammunition stock. And then this man over here doesn't have much to say, and we have some beds. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you learned something about the I-88, because I certainly did. So huge shout out to Grim for recommending this place, otherwise I never would have made this video. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any recommendations for the next place, please post them in the comment section below. Until next time. Hello everyone, the Army of Otters here, and welcome back to the Unexplored Mojave. Today we're going to be looking at the Powdered Ganger camps. This is recommended to me by HK Nick, or HK Nike, I think. Anyways, this was a good idea, I thought, because there's several Powdered Ganger camps that we can investigate and learn more about. This group, which escaped from the NCR Correctional Facility and is terrorizing the southwestern Mojave. So let's dive into it. Alright, so the first location is the Powder Ganger Camp South. Now at this location there will be no Powder Gangers unless you start the quest I Fought the Law from Eddie inside the NCR Correctional Facility. However, we do have a note here that reads, some of the fellas farther north are trying to organize. We're starting to think it's a good idea. Got to pull resources if we're going to survive out here. Sure, you've noticed the decline in travelers. If they're getting wise, so should we. So perhaps these guys were thinking about joining up with the Powder Gangers in Vault 19? Not for sure. Then we have some graffiti and a usable bed, and then some cooking supplies, but really not a whole lot here. But we do have some pretty good views of the surrounding area and the NCR Correctional Facility, so I thought it was a pretty interesting place and a good place to take in the scenes of the Mojave. Next, after being attacked by Legion assassins, we move to the East Powder Ganger Camp. Here, this camp is occupied by several Powder Gangers, and since I'm vilified by the Powder Gangers, I decided to kill them from a distance using my anti-material rifle, which might be a little bit overkill, but I enjoyed it nonetheless. There's several Powder Ganger mines around, so be careful on your approach, or you can just walk through it as I do and let Raul and my dog take the brunt of the explosion. However, there's not a whole lot here. We do have some ammunition crates and some, obviously, dead Powder Gangers that we can loot. Also, on a more interesting note, we have what appears to be a Brahmin corpse inside the refrigerator, and there's also some Rad-X inside of the refrigerator. There's some interesting stuff. As you can see, Powder Ganger Camp East is kind of southeast more than it is east, but nonetheless, it has the name East. Now, if we actually go east of the NCR Correctional Facility, we will discover a Powder Ganger camp. So I don't know if this was the original East camp and it was changed later, or what, but we can find a camp inside this cave inside the nearby mountain of the NCR Correctional Facility. However, there's not a lot in here besides 2 Powder Gangers, and inside this wooden crate, we have a skeleton, and at the bottom of the crate sits a stim pack. So not half a bad find for a new player, possibly. And that's the impression I got out of most of these camps, is it would be pretty good maybe for an early playthrough to collect some XP, collect some weapons, if you're not friendly with the Powder Gangers, of course. Otherwise, you can do some of the quest for the Powder Gangers in the NCR Correctional Facility. Moving on to the Powder Ganger Camp North, we can discover more guys that you saw me kill earlier, and again, a lot of loot. However, something that's quite disappointing is to take anything from these camps is considered stealing and will count against the player's karma. Here we can find yet another note, but this is the same note found at the Powder Ganger Camp South, so I won't read it. Also, I had to admit, this is the first time I noticed that these mines, which keep exploding, are not normal mines. They're actually powder charges that are just kind of like homemade mines made by the Powder Gangers. I wasn't really aware that these existed until this video, so something that I thought was pretty cool. And then here we can see the location of the camp. Now, next to the prison is a billboard, and I just thought this is a very odd placement for a billboard. I don't know how many people were driving by this prison, but thought it was interesting. Near to the north camp is another unmarked powder ganger camp. We just have like a trailer, and then there's 2 powder gangers nearby that are pretty easy to kill. Here we can see the effects of the powder gangers. We have 2 dead Crimson Caravan guards, and then one of them is a woman who is naked, so maybe something really bad happened. I mean, at least that's what the game is insinuating. And then we also have a copy of today's position and some ammo inside of the trailer. Now, this camp is located about halfway between Powder Ganger Camp North and Gene Skydiving. Now, I think, at least from my experience, most players would be familiar with Gene Skydiving. It's a place I always visit in my playthroughs, mainly just to pick up a Star Sansat Sarsaparilla bottle cap. But I figured I'd go ahead and showcase it because I don't know when else I would actually really show it in a video. And it is kind of a weird location that I think many players might just, brush over. Next to the skydiving place, we have a completely destroyed house with 2 dressers, but just junk inside. And then we can find a plane which is partially buried, probably belonging to the skydiving facility, which would obviously take people up to go skydiving. So, pretty cool. South of here, then, we can find the Powder Ganger Camp West. And here, I think a lot of players might be familiar with this camp just because it's right on your way between Goodsprings and Prim. So, right, if you're following the more traditional New Vegas playthrough, you'll definitely pass through this area. Here on this trailer, I wanted to see if I could fit through this gap, and I eventually could. And again, though, stealing is a thing from the Powder Gangers. I don't know why, because killing them grants you positive karma. And then we can also find a note at this camp which reads, "Not many patrols out here lately," which means not much loot. Our crew is thinking we should make a move soon. Follow the tracks up north, head towards the strip. You in? Ain't on the chain gang anymore, but we still gotta stick together. And here we can see the consequences of the Powder Gangers' actions. Less and less people are taking this route towards New Vegas. Next to the camp, we have an irradiated pool of water that sits at the bottom of the sewage pipe, or more of a drain pipe, not really sewage. And then we can see Prim off in the distance, and here's the location. Now, I did find something interesting that I don't really remember. If we head further south of the camp to here on the map, we can find a little ditch, and if you follow this ditch, it leads to a radiated patch of water, and underneath this car, we can find a doctor's bag, a magazine, and some fixer. And I just thought this was really interesting. It's something I never really remembered, but it would probably be useful in a new playthrough of New Vegas, and there's no enemies here, so I thought it was just kind of an interesting place that's easy to get some good loot. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. What do you guys normally do with the Powder Gangers? For me, I'm usually villains with them, but hey, maybe you have something else. Also, the Powder Gangers at Vault 19 stay cooperative, even if you turn against the Powder Gangers at the NCR Correctional Facility. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any recommendations for the next video, please post them in the comment section below. Until next time. Hello everyone, the Army of Otters here, and welcome back to the Unexplored Mojave. Today we're going to be looking at Black Mountain along with Neil's Shack. This was recommended to me by Wesley Gossett, so thank you for the recommendation. Wesley, you've had lots of recommendations. So let's jump into Black Mountain. So here we're at the entrance to Black Mountain right next to Neil's Shack. Neil's Shack is pretty much the entrance, and if you don't know, Neil is a super mutant who was sent here by Marcus in Jacobstown to keep an eye on Tabitha and to warn other super mutants about Tabitha. Tabitha is the super mutant on the radio who's a bit kind of crazy. But there's not much in Neil's Shack, just a radio and a bed, and then we can continue our journey towards the top of Black Mountain. Now, Black Mountain's a little bit unique, is as you make your way up, you'll notice a lot of traps, and you'll also notice there's a lot of falling rocks. It reminds me of segments of Skyrim, where you would have like boulders and stuff falling down. So we can see a very kind of early concept for that here in New Vegas. Now, I don't know if that inspired Skyrim or not, obviously, because Skyrim was made by Bethesda, this was made by Obsidian, but, you know, you can see these boulders here and Raul just being a badass and completely ignoring it. But it's pretty cool, and as far as I know, it's the only place in New Vegas where there are falling rocks as a hazard to the player. And here at the top we can see a rock that didn't fall for whatever reason. Now normally as you make your way up here, there's a ton of super mutants who will try to kill you, but I've already completed the quest here, and then I found a bunch of friendly super mutants. And I don't know if this is normal or not, but I tried to complete the good ending of the quest here, where I revive Tabitha's robot, and she just leaves peacefully. So maybe that makes the super mutants here peaceful. I don't know. But as you come up on Black Mountain, you're going to notice a lot of destroyed buildings, and then there's a huge crater in the middle here, and most people believe that this was one of the sites of a nuclear attack by the Chinese. And of course it would make sense because this was a satellite array, and it probably had an important role in detecting nuclear launches from China. In fact, there's a terminal that we will look at earlier that confirms that. Over here we just have some shacks, not so much inside of here, empty shelves, empty tables. But then on the left side here we have one of my favorite buildings in New Vegas. I don't know why, I just really like the idea of somebody using this collapsed satellite dish as housing. Right, it provides shelter, shade, and they kind of built up the walls to make it feel more like a house or something. I've always just thought it was a really kind of cool concept. There's also a minigun in this trunk, which might be pretty good if you're a lower level or you don't possess a minigun. Overall, this place has some pretty decent loot. As you can see here, there was a locked chest, and upon opening it, we can get some caps, which is not bad. And then if you complete the quest here with Neil, he'll hang out at the top next to the satellite dish house, and he'll just congratulate you on your job of clearing out Tabitha, and he's also there to warn or talk to other super mutants to let them know what is happening. Something interesting about Black Mountain is you can hear thunder when you're here, but there's never any like lightning or rain or anything, but I just thought it's kind of a cool touch. Up here on this radio tower, you can actually turn it on and off. Also, there's going to be a super mutant up here with a missile launcher. If you come here and kill him, you're going to want to take the missile launcher because it's actually a unique weapon called Annabelle. And here you can see me using the missile launcher, and I've been using it in my playthrough as my main missile launcher, so something to be careful of that you could easily miss if you forget to pick it up. Then if we go inside this building, we can find where Raul normally is. However, as you can see, I already rescued Raul, but you can come in here and rescue him, and then he can be your companion. If we use this terminal, you notice there's a toy car next to it. If you read entry number 5, you learn the backstory about this toy car, and now it's a unique car, and it'll say Cuddles toy car. Before reading that entry, it's just normal toy car. After reading the entry on the computer, it is Cuddles toy car, a unique item in the game technically. So just kind of a cool fact that might be easily missed. Then in here we have the storage building, and Tabitha has a scavenger hunt in this building for various items like a missile launcher, missiles, and ammunition. All of these trunks have ammunition in it and a few weapons, but not a lot of ammunition. But, I mean, it's better than nothing. So you can come in here and do the scavenger hunt. It's kind of a fun side activity. I've always liked puzzles and kind of hidden stuff in video games, so I enjoy it. Also, there's a Nuka-Cola Victory in there, which is pretty cool. Then we can go to the actual radio tower, and here is where we can find the terminal that has the people who were working on the day of the Great War, and you can see the reaction to what is happening, and it's pretty interesting. But basically we just see that they've picked up the activity from the Chinese satellite network, and then the next entries detail all of the missiles that were headed towards the United States. And then eventually one of the nukes went off, and we can see that they slowly succumbed to radiation poisoning. The blast didn't kill them because they were protected by the mountain, but the radiation ultimately killed them. And then we can see Marcus visited here, and he was surprised that all of the technology and equipment was still working. But obviously Marcus is now at Jacobstown. But besides that, we just have a lot of radio equipment and not a lot else. There's no real loot on this floor. Then if we go outside, we're in this caged area. And this is where Tabitha is, sending her message across the Mojave wasteland. However, you notice the door is locked, and if you want to go inside, the key is underneath the staircase. You can see this pile of dirt, and that's Tabitha's room key. And then we can go into the actual recording studio. But there is not a whole lot in here, but there is sheet music. However, there's no real point to it besides you can sell it for money. It's worth 100 caps. Surprisingly, it's not related to any kind of quest. So I wonder if it was originally going to be a part of another quest related to music. I know in Fallout 3 there's a quest where you have to find a very valuable violin, a Stradivarius violin at that, and then you have to return it or find it in the vault. Next we have a repair note for Raul asking him to fix something, and because Tabitha broke it because she got angry. So after that though, we just have some of these trunks with some ammunition, not a whole lot, but again better than nothing. Then if we head south, we can find another crater signaling at probably another nuclear detonation. It would make sense for the Chinese to target this place. Also we can find a unique centaur, Mo. There's a lot of centaurs around this area, but there are no super mutants, so maybe the super mutants just kept them down here as like their pets. But besides that, there's not a whole lot here. Now, you can find one of the Brotherhood of Steel Paladins in here during the Brotherhood of Steel quest, but he's not here for me because I already completed that quest. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any recommendations for the next location, please post them in the comments section below. Until next time. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Unexplored Mojave. Today we're going to be looking at Scorpion Gulch. As you can see by the minimap, this is just east of Hidden Valley. Now this can be used as a route to get to New Vegas, however it would be very challenging for a new player, so I believe this would be a very easily missed place on a playthrough. So this is next to Black Mountain and Hidden Valley, and you'll notice all of these like small canyons carving through the mountains. And there's going to be a lot of scorpions in these canyons. You're going to have these small bark scorpions, which are pretty easy to kill. And then, of course, you're also going to have the large rad scorpions. And here there's a human corpse. Or a human skeleton, sorry. And then over here there was a centaur. And near here there's a crater with a lot of centaurs in it. So obviously that centaur just kind of made its way over to the canyon. And then you can see Black Mountain off in the distance. Then I came back and the skeleton started freaking out, so I just thought it was kind of funny, as his hand was like stuck in the ground. It looks like he's dancing. But if we head more towards the actual gulch, you will see all of these scorpions and they will rush you. Again, if you were a new player, this would actually probably be pretty challenging, but since I'm a much higher level now, and I really like this machine gun, or submachine gun, against these rad scorpions. So it was pretty easy. Also, I have Raul and Rex with me, which made the whole affair easier. And here we can see discovering Scorpion Gulch. And right there on my right, you saw that rock, and there is actually a quest associated with that rock. If you talk to Knight Torres with the Brotherhood of Steel, and she is located in Hidden Valley Bunker, she will tell you that she lost her laser pistol, and that if you can find it for her, she'll give you an award. And then on that rock will be a missing laser pistol. So just kind of an interesting unmarked side quest. Also in the Gulch is the body of a dead wastelander who had some ammunition and a Sunset Star Sarsaparilla bottle cap, which was kind of cool. And then we can actually go through the pass. So normally in Fallout New Vegas, on the lower half of the map is kind of split into two by a tall mountain range. Well, this pass serves as the way through that mountain range. So like I said before, in theory, this would be one way to get to New Vegas, but it would be very difficult for a new player to pass through here with all of the scorpions. Now, if you used a stealth boy, or maybe kind of hogging the walls, like using a glitch, maybe it'd be possible. As you can see here, I got like poisoned from the scorpion, I guess. I'm not sure. I've never really seen that like animation in the game, so I didn't really know what it was, if it was scorpion poison or what. But anyways, as you make your way through the canyon, you're going to notice like this staircase, and then there's going to be another dead prospector who had some ammo and bottle caps. And then it comes out near Helios 1, near Novak. So just kind of interesting. and a place that I think is very easy to miss within the Mojave Wasteland. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any recommendations for the next episode, please post them in the comment section below. Until next time. Hello everyone, the Army of Otters here, and welcome back to the Unexplored Mojave. Today we're going to be looking at Goodsprings. Now obviously Goodsprings is the most traveled location in Fallout New Vegas. It's where you start the game. But today I want to take a look at Goodsprings and some of the surrounding area to see what might be hidden and what players might miss. Now this location was recommended to me by Wesley Gossett. Thanks a lot, Wesley, and thanks for recommending so many locations. Let's jump into Goodsprings. Now, as many of you probably know, Goodsprings is a real-life location, and the Goodsprings sign is based on the real-life Goodsprings sign. And for this location, I primarily want to focus on the real-life locations within Goodsprings. So if you guys don't know, Goodsprings has fully adopted the Fallout aesthetic. So the Main Street area has a real general store, and the Prospector Saloon is the Pioneer Saloon in real life. And every year there is a Fallout festival in Goodsprings, and the owner of the Prospector Saloon has decorated his saloon, the Pioneer Saloon, with all kinds of Fallout memorabilia, so it's really cool. So it's definitely a place that I want to visit, and that many Fallout fans want to visit because it's fully accepted its Fallout identity and has become a place that is synonymous with the Fallout fandom. Now, in real life, the Pioneer or Prospector Saloon is known as a biker bar, and in Fallout New Vegas, we can see several bikes parked outside the Prospector Saloon. So we can tell that the developers of Fallout paid a lot of attention to Goodsprings specifically to design it accurately to real life. And then in Fallout, we have Easy Pete, who is based on an actually real-life person named Gordy, who is a Goodsprings resident and a regular of the Pioneer Saloon that the developers met when they were making this game. So probably one of the coolest characters within Fallout New Vegas. And honestly, Goodsprings and what the developers did with it is just so cool. Then within the Prospector Saloon, obviously we have the bar area, we have a billiards table, and it's run by Trudy. And Trudy, if you notice, will use the side entrance, which is locked, just signifying that she owns the bar. Then outside we can see the shooting range where you go during the tutorial to shoot all of the Sunset Sarsaparilla bottles. Obviously a place that most Fallout players are going to be familiar with. Now if we go over to the general store, we can find some workbenches, and then outside the general store is a Mojave Express drop box. And I have to believe this is one of the most underutilized things within Fallout New Vegas. Now, there are drop boxes within Goodsprings, Prim, Novak, Freeside, and the New Vegas Strip. And anything you put into this drop box will be delivered to another drop box. So if you put thousands of pounds of stuff within the Goodsprings drop box, you can then go pick it up on the New Vegas Strip. It is a really interesting thing that players could easily miss. Now, obviously, Chet runs the general store, and we can buy all sorts of goods and ammunition and weapons from him, all kinds of supplies. And then if we head to the north of the general store, we can find what appears to be an abandoned farm, but it is stealing to take this maze, but most of the maze is dried up and dead. We find a trailer with a bed inside of it, and then an abandoned house that we cannot enter. So for the most part, if the house has a resident in Goodsprings, then we can go inside. If the house is abandoned, then we can't go inside. In my opinion, one of the most unfortunate things about New Vegas is the player character cannot have a house in Goodsprings, which I just think is so disappointing. Up against this abandoned house, we can find a BB gun, but obviously BB guns in New Vegas are probably the weakest weapon, besides maybe a butter knife, but pretty interesting, and it is actually somewhat valuable, so in a very early playthrough, you could sell this BB gun. Now, Goodsprings Cemetery is obviously the place where Benny shoots you, the player, and then this is your grave that Victor digs you out of, and then Doc Mitchell fixes you up. He takes the bullet out of your head, and somehow he saves your life. Now, the graves within the cemetery are lootable. You can find drugs and ammunition within the graves. So, if you're in an early playthrough, definitely pick up a shovel, dig through the graves, get some ammunition. Now, like everywhere else, Goodsprings Cemetery is based on the real-life Goodsprings Cemetery. Now, in real life, the cemetery is more towards the southeast or the east of the town, whereas in New Vegas, it's to the north of the town. But nonetheless, it is a real-life location you can actually visit. However, if you do go, please be careful because apparently there's a lot of poisonous snakes, like rattlesnakes, within the area. But definitely a place a lot of Fallout fans visit to this day. Now, the water tower here is a similar asset used in Fallout 3. I actually just made a video about a water tower in my Super Duper Mart video for Fallout 3, so you can just tell they copy and pasted some of the same assets. Going down in Goodsprings, there's a lot of bighorners that are peaceful, so you can check them out, get some close-up views of them. A lot of bighorners in this game are actually really aggressive. Now, if we head just a little bit to the northwest of Goodsprings, we can find a plateau, but there's nothing really within the plateau besides some coyotes. But I just thought it's an interesting area. Maybe there is more planned for Goodsprings. And as we'll get into later in this video, there was actually supposed to be another town west of Goodsprings, but it was cut from the final game. However, the Lonesome Road DLC kind of expanded to the west of New Vegas. And there you can see the coyote. I just ignored him, but Raul and Rex made sure to take care of him for me. So thank you for having some of the best companions in the game. Now going back to Goodsprings, we can find the Poseidon Energy gas station, which is where Ringo is hiding out during the main quest. Now, in real life, I could not find this location within Goodsprings. It appears to just be houses within real life. However, there is a fire station nearby, so maybe that is what it is based on. But right at this location is just a house. Now, within the gas station, we can find a locked safe, and once you help Ringo, you can go and open the safe and get a small amount of bottle caps. But overall, not really so much in here besides Ringo during the main quest. Now heading over to Doc Mitchell's house, which actually has a farm behind it, if you didn't know. But obviously this is where we start the game, so every person who has played Fallout New Vegas knows this location. You have all kinds of loot in here that you can take with you, stim packs, bottle caps, all kinds of good stuff. And there's Doc Mitchell himself. Now, if you haven't, I highly recommend to go pick up this skull in your playthrough of New Vegas. I've already picked it up in the tutorial, but if you have not picked up that skull, go in your New Vegas game and pick it up, and you'll have a little Easter egg waiting for you. There's a 9mm, which we can repair if we have 25, and then a copy of Today's Physician, which I believe a lot of players might miss. Then we can move over to the schoolhouse, which is like every other location in New Vegas, based on a real-world location, the Goodsprings Schoolhouse, which only has like a few students. Probably one of the smallest schools in the entire world. But inside, normally there's a lot of giant mantises, however, I've already killed them. And there's a locked safe, which you can open to get a stealth boy and some other goodies. But once you've done all of that, like I have, there's not a whole lot inside the Goodsprings Elementary School. Now, if we head to the west of Goodsprings, we can find like a little canyon. But originally, there was supposed to be a lot more to the west of Goodsprings. In fact, there was supposed to be another town, which was probably going to be Sandy Valley and Lincoln City. As we can see here on the map, and if you go back and watch my episode outside the Mojave outpost, we can see that there's like a desert valley west of Goodsprings, and originally there was going to be a town there, but it was cut from the final game. Now we can go to Victor's shack. Obviously Victor works for Mr. House, and he's the person that digs you out of the grave and saves your life. Now inside his shack there isn't a whole lot besides a weapon repair kit and then a bed which the player can sleep in. Now, just south of Goodsprings, we can find the Goodsprings source, which features several buckets, and the water source for New Vegas. And we can find all kinds of pumps and windmills, which help provide the water that obviously Goodsprings would drink. And of course, this is based on a real-life water treatment plant located south of Goodsprings. Now, if you do the tutorial, you will actually come to this location, but most players cancel out of the tutorial by that point. Now, if we continue south, we'll find a character named Barton Thorn, which will start the unmarked quest, Thorn the Fink. Now, Thorn will tell you that his girlfriend is trapped by geckos, just to the west of you up on a cliff. And then you can offer to help him find his girlfriend and to save her from the geckos. So you can follow this like hiking trail, which in real life there's a lot of hiking areas near Goodsprings. So again, accurate to real life. And you'll find several geckos along this path, obviously mutated, that will attack the player. However, once you're a high level, or even for a new player, I would imagine this is pretty easy. And I'd actually highly recommend doing this for new players, as it's a good way to get ammunition. So taking out the geckos and going up this little path, we will eventually find a huge like horde of geckos. But thanks to having Rex and Raul, it was pretty easy to kill them. Now at the top of this trail, you will find several dead bodies, and what is in my opinion one of the most graphic dead bodies within New Vegas. You can find the half-eaten corpse of a person with only their upper torso and head being visible. So kind of disturbing, and one of the most graphic things within Fallout New Vegas, and I never even knew it existed. At the very top, you'll find some traps and a chair and ammunition crate. Within this footlocker and ammunition box, you can find a lot of ammunition. Now, if you have Wild Wasteland perk, these balls will spawn along with a dead body called Johnny. However, for whatever reason, Johnny did not spawn for me. And if you don't have Wild Wasteland perk, there will just be a dead prospector up here. But with the Wild Wasteland perk, where there's a lot of balls, and we can just kind of kick them down the cliff and see where they go. Now, of course, the quest is not as straightforward as it might seem. There is no girl, and Barton was just trying to trick you to kill the geckos so he could take all of the loot on top of the path for himself. After talking to him, he will attempt to kill the player, but thanks again to Raul and Rex, it was pretty easy to kill him. Now, this is an unmarked quest that would be really good for new players, as it's an easy way to get ammunition. At the top, there's a refrigerator with some food and alcohol, but really not a whole lot that is worth getting, but again, the ammo is pretty good. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Unexplored Mojave. If you have any recommendations for the next video, please leave them in the comment section below. Until next time.